Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I'm Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and after her long hiatus, I am joined once again by Mel, aka Melarina. How you doing?
Hi. Yeah, I know. I was just saying it's been a while since I've been on, so it probably hasn't been as good. I'm sorry, everybody. You know,
It definitely hasn't been. Definitely hasn't been. Oh man! And then we also have ScotteJaye returning. How you doing?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me again. I actually thought I was banned permanently because I've not been on here for like a month or something. So I assumed we was done. I thought you was done with me, just throwing me away. But yeah, good to be back.
Scotty's like sitting there like, what did I say last episode I was on?
Yeah, I'd imagine I said quite a few things that could potentially not get me returning. But
oh man, you had some funny names. I remember at the very end. It was really good.
Yeah.
Well, after an even longer hiatus, we have Defcamp returning to the show. How you doing?
Yes, cheers. I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me. It's been too long. I know me and my brother used to be regular guests on the show back in the day. And it's good to be back with you guys. I know it's been probably, maybe like 6 months since I've been on the show.
It's got to be a long time.
Yeah, so it's good to be back.
Yeah, the last time was in TBC. Long time ago.
TBC, Raiden, probably Raiden. Oh, I think I remember. It was when we were starting to clear. Was it Hyjal or no? I think we did do one for Sunwell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did our guild progression Sunwell.
Yeah.
One. That was the last time we were on. Yeah.
Yep. Journey through Sunwell.
Yep. Which was a fun raid, but was actually the last raid that I've done. Funny enough, since I've been gone, I've kind of cut back. I haven't really been playing much classic Wrath of Lich King. I've been playing all hardcore right now, so I'm having fun over there.
Awesome. Well, we'll jump into that here in just a second. Let me just get through a little bit of housekeeping. So I want to. Where's my housekeeping? Oh my gosh! So you guys, I'm sorry for everybody. I woke up kind of sick, and my brain is just a little bit foggy. So okay,
where's Esmeralda? Where is she?
I'd like to start by thanking our tank patrons in Thick Lizzie, Croxford, Braxton, and Turtle Whale. I'd like to mention we stream live on Twitch, twitch.tv/BlazinBob. And we'll leave it at that. We did get some voicemails this week. I'm going to do one here in a second, and then I'm going to do two at the end, at the last part of the show, because they're going to spark our conversation in the discussion section of the show. And then in between, we've got some news. But let's hear from, first, before we get to the voicemail, let's hear from Defcamp and about your return here. Man. What happened?
So, I was streaming pretty regularly, I guess, a few months ago. And then we had, unfortunately, our guild had fallen apart at the end of TBC. And I think that, plus, just some other stuff. So where I was in my life, I decided to kind of take a step back from playing. And, I obviously stopped streaming for a little bit. So I did come back to streaming a little bit after that. I was trying to just, stream, talking about video games and doing other stuff like that. But the passion for me really wasn't just in it. And like I said, I was having some troubles with my Tourette's, syndrome and stuff like that. So, I took some time off. Ended up, stopping raiding. The guild fell apart, unfortunately, when they went into Wrath. And then, what was it? Maybe about a week or two ago, I decided I wanted to start streaming again. I decided to come over and play hardcore. And I think the day I came back, Cargos and all those guys hit me up and asked me to host one of their hardcore all-star weekends. So I came back, did that. And man, yeah, ever since I've been back, it's been like I've never left. You know, my chat, some people are in here now. You know, big shouts out to them, Kalina, everybody. You know, we're just super, super welcoming back to me. The whole community was, to be honest, like the whole hardcore community. Everyone was just so happy to see me back. And, you know, like I said, I had some things happen. I don't want to get too negative, but, you know, I had a family member pass away and other stuff like that. And I was just in a pretty dark place, you know. And, you know, it took me a while. I went back to and got actual, you know, I'll talk about this for a second. I got diagnosed with my Tourette's, even though I know I had it for years, right? You know, I had, you know, self-medicated my whole life with my addiction and stuff like that. And, but actually getting diagnosed really helped me a lot, you know, because I was able to say, hey, like I have something, it's like there's seriously something like fucking wrong with me. It's not just my head, like I thought for so long, right? I think I was fucking crazy. But yeah, getting like actually diagnosed and talking to someone like was the best thing I ever could have done, man. Like it helped with my depression a fuck ton. It helped with all of my, you know, mental health issues. And then like the other thing that happened with my family, right? Like that, you know, kind of threw a whole loop in you know, for me. But yeah, man, coming back and having everyone just being so supportive and so welcoming, like really made me realize how lucky I was to have this community behind me and like have people that, you know, I can talk to. And like my stream and I are really open with that kind of stuff. Like we talk about, you know, I talk about my addiction all the time. I talk about my mental health issues all the time. I talk about all that kind of stuff. And I feel like people are really receptive to that. And then people come in my chat and feel like they're able to talk about their stuff too.
That's
you know
cool.
what I mean? Yeah, I mean, it's not like that's all my chat is, right? But like every once in a while, it's not like we're all like there. It's like let's hold hands and like have a group session. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's not like that, but it's
just
like
a safe space.
It's a safe space. It's a safe space where you can, you know, I mean, I hate that word, but yeah, it's a safe space basically. But it you know, it's just a chill place to hang out with like-minded people that love World of Warcraft, and we've been talking about, you know, all the new stuff potentially with the new season of Mastery coming out. You know, we've been having fun doing hardcore. I've been looking at, you know, some Wrath of the Lich King that's been going on too, and just trying to keep tabs on the whole community. So yeah, it's, I mean, basically where I've been and what's been up to. Yeah.
Well, you know, you are super open about talking about that, but people just, I mean, if your mind is your most important tool, man. Like,
yeah.
If, you know, something's not, you know, if something's not right, you got to get help. And I've gotten help in the past. And if I ever need it again, I will get help again, you know, like, yeah, I'm not super comfortable talking about my past, but I have talked about it with you one time on the show, you know, yes. So, yeah, but you are, I mean, I commend you because you are so open. So I'm glad to have you back, though, man. Yeah. I'm glad to have you back in hardcore. I'm still trying to talk you into, you know, moving your guy over and coming to raid with us.
I was watching you raid the other night.
We got two raids. Yeah,
and you guys are killing it right now, right? You guys are like doing really good.
Well, it was actually, I'm going to talk about it too, yeah. After the Taken one. That's our. We call it our just raid 2, but it's a more casual raid. Like we're not docking people for not showing up. Like, you know, definitely keeping attendance records, because that definitely, you know, goes into like who gets more gear. But I mean, that's to be expected. If you're going to be there more often, like we have more gear more often, you know? So, but it's not like the other raid where like, if, you know, you don't show up, it's like, dude, what the hell? Like, did you give us, you know, notice? But that one, we're starting to get hard modes down. We got like, I forget how many we got down now in that raid, and it's been pretty cool. And then the other raid, we got everything down except for Yogg 0, and we're just not in a huge rush to do Yogg 0, really. So, but we've had everything beat for, I don't know, three Algalon kills now. So,
yeah, dude, Ulduar is such a fun raid. That's the one thing. Like, I had a great time in Original Wrath. That's when me and my brother started our original first guild. And most of my, like, I have a lot of fond memories from Original Classic, and Original TBC was when I like really started like no lifing WoW. But I think some of the most fun I ever had was in Original Wrath. And that's why part of me is like, you know, I want to do it again, but the other part of me is like, I know I will never have that that great time that I did back in original Wrath. But
you just have to look at it as something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's definitely not the same as it was for me back in the day, but it's new. It's new for me now. Like, and there's a lot of different changes that make it very different than the past. But yeah. What have you been up to, Scotty?
Probably the same as you, mate. To be honest, just raiding, lots and lots and lots of raiding. Raiding. Keep that Scotty raiding. Exactly. Well, I play on NA as well as EU now, so I clear full 10, full 25 man heroic hard modes rather every week on at least 3 characters.
Oh my God.
I've got Valanir, I've got Mim's Head, I've done all the Glory of the Raider 10-25 on multiple characters. There's very little else to do, I'll be honest with you.
You need to tell us how to do 25-man cat lady. Because I mean, there's loads of ways to do it. We've tried different things, but like, it's the last thing I need. I'm just like, come on. Everybody's like, I don't want to do it this week. I'm like, damn it.
Well, a comfortable way of doing it. Don't get me wrong. Again, there's loads of ways of doing it, but a comfortable way is probably having your tank pick Aurea up, or Aurea, having a hunter, MD, a warlock, or a holy paladin, and then literally have them run from there all the way to Mimron's train with the holy paladin healing the warlock who's life tapping en route. You want swiftness potions and nitro boots, but that gives you a good couple of minutes, literally, to kill the boss before the cats come back. That's it, and it requires one tank. That's it.
That's the one we were kind of like, we were practicing it a little bit in 10-man, but for some reason, cats kept coming back.
On 10 man, it's easy. Obviously, you just split the two tanks, 2 healers,
and just burn it, right?
And just burn, exactly. But 25 man,
we were just trying
25.
Yeah, we were just trying to practice. Like, we had the lock and the paladin that we're going to do it in 25-man. We were trying to practice, and we couldn't get it to work. And so we were like, oh, okay, I don't know. But maybe something's different in 25-man.
If you got decent single target, and decent healers, you could literally just stack everything and just single target the boss and make sure that you've got a couple of priests with Fear Ward and Mass Dispel. You pretty much could brute force it now. But I've been doing a lot of raiding, been trying to make things interesting, to be fair. Like yesterday, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday went and done a 10-man, 1 tank, 1 heal, and I was the tank, where I'm normally the healer, obviously. But literally solo tanked everything, including Algalon, with some clever use of mechanics.
Wow.
That was fun. Obviously you can imagine the boss died in 2.5 minutes, something like that. A very, very quick kill. And literally about 10 minutes before this started, I'd just finished raiding on Cata, on the Cata private server. We'd been and done Blackwing Descent. So,
how's that server been? I've heard some good things about that server, actually.
Probably one of the worst I've ever played on, if I'm completely honest. And I've played on a lot of them. But the devs are good, as in, they do fix things quickly, but it should never have been released with that much wrong with it. That's my issue. But no, it's been fun.
Oh, what made you want to play Cata again? Was it,
I play every fresh that comes out.
Yeah.
More or less every fresh. Like, I'm the complete polar opposite of you. Obviously, you love vanilla. I hate vanilla. It would be the last game I chose to play.
Yeah.
But like anything else, Wrath. I've been on loads of mop servers as well, which I really enjoy.
Nice.
Basically, I just like the rush. The rush of the first few weeks of any fresh server.
Oh, I do too.
A lot of fun.
We were actually talking about that yesterday. About if there were to do. I would love for them to do, I know we're just talking about vanilla, but like a fresh, pure vanilla again. I think that would be.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what we would want to do. We're going to make our own servers here at the end of the show here.
Well, I'll save what I'm going to say then until then, because I don't know if you saw the video that I'd done maybe a month ago about what I would consider would be a good season of mastery.
I did.
I would do it. I got loads of messages about 2 days ago from, and I mean loads, as in hundreds of messages from people on Discord. That there is a very, I won't promote any here, but there's a very popular private server that are doing exactly word for word what I said in that video.
Oh, I
Wow.
think I know the one you're talking about. Is it the
The very popular,
the very popular
one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to getting into that. What have you been doing, Mel?
I've been raiding. That's really about it. That's all I do. I haven't raided on my Pally in a couple weeks, so sick. But I raid tonight on my Pally, I think. Yeah. I got Constellas for my priest.
Nice.
Congrats.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We did
I'm trying to
complete our
convince everybody that
Valor.
it's better than Valinir for me. Yeah.
Yeah, we completed our first Valinir in the weekday raid this week,
nice.
and then we're six fragments away in the weekend raid. So with some super luck, we might get it this week, but most likely next week. But
Nice.
Yeah, going pretty good.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, I do miss raiding. I do. There is a part of me that really misses it. Just having that weekly highlight, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I was raiding quite a lot too back in the day, so it's quite a different feel for me now. It's much more chill and relaxed then. But I do miss it a lot. So maybe about this, maybe I'll hit you up and have that priest. I mean, I could even boost the character if I wanted to, but who knows?
It'd be cool.
Pretty easy to work them up now.
I realized quickly after we started the show that I needed to change my hat. I didn't want to rub salt in the wound. So that's why I went and changed my hat. Did you even notice that?
I didn't. Did you?
What are you wearing?
You had a Kansas City Chief hat on?
Yeah. I had a Super Bowl winner's hat on.
I would put mine on if I would have remembered, man.
I'm still so pissed about that game, man. I got to give it to you. I know a lot of people were talking about that the ref made that horrible call and all, but the Eagles defense played like shit that game. I give it to the Chiefs. They played better game that day.
Yeah. So, I mean, nobody wants it to end like on a penalty. That just sours everything. But what do you do? Like, then do you just allow him to do the penalty at that point? Like, or like, yeah, we're not going to get into it though, but it was a bummer, but you guys played great. It was a fun game. I thought
it was. Yeah.
I mean, we got the Kelsey Bowl, which is really all anybody wanted.
And I'm still a big fan of Andy Reid too, so I was happy to see him get another.
Yeah.
Scotty's like, huh?
What the hell are these Americans talking about?
I don't know why everything's you've all started talking Chinese all of a sudden. I thought it was just an English speaking podcast.
Oh, well, for me, I've been raiding on the Rogue, raiding on the Warrior, raiding on the new Rogue also. The new Rogue's like, I didn't even realize it's like 47 something, like 4,700 something gear score. And I was like, huh, I need to start doing hard modes to get upgrades. I was just like, okay, well, cool. But yeah, then my main Rogue had the run of a lifetime. Nick, who got shouted out by Pummel last week on the show, he invited me to come to one of his 10-man alt runs, and we did everything, all hard modes plus Algalon. But I got the throwing weapon, which is Biss. I got the gloves from Algalon, which is Biss. I got Mim's goggles, which is Biss. And I got the rune stone, which isn't Biss, but it was still an upgrade to the trinkets that I had. And so I was like, sweet. It's a pretty good run. And it wasn't even DKP. It was just like, wow. I've not had a run like that.
I don't want to hear about Runestone. Can we move the conversation along?
It's the first time I ever saw it drop, and I raided three different 10-mans a week.
I see it drop on everything other than my Feral Druid. Literally, I've seen it on every character. I've got Dreambinder on the Druid. I've got, my Druid's decent geared, but Runestone I just cannot get. I literally went and killed Thorim, so the guild, they might have finished by now, but they was just doing a 10-man before this. And as soon as I finished Blackwing Descent on Cata, I went in and took someone's spot just for Thorim. and it didn't drop again. I'm done with it. I'm gonna delete. I'm gonna delete that druid. Feral. I'm so over Feral now. I'll leave that to Airness and Table Slam. They can do it.
Oh god.
Oh man, yeah. This is the first time I had seen it drop. I was starting to think that it didn't actually exist.
Oh man.
Yeah. So that's the annoying thing. It is those, with obviously I love Ulduar. That's why I raid it so much. But the one item, from a big old loot table on every boss is so painful. Like it just there's still some items that we physically haven't seen. Our guild has not seen Flare from Vezax yet. Which, 11 weeks, 12 weeks of killing Vezax hard mode. We killed it week 1 and still not seen Flare. I'm trying to think. Wow. There is other items as well. There's more than just that. I think we've only had one Scale of the Fates as well from Thorim. Yeah, in some departments we've been mega unlucky. And it is mainly the casters, to be honest. Like the melee are all stacked. And then, even the plate healing chest from XT, we've only seen one of those.
See, we get plate healer gear all the time. We get tank and healer gear all the time.
Oh shit! I need to.
We have
make a tank or a holy pally. Then
we have so many. We have so many people that just have a extra tank set. Because stuff just keeps dropping. They're like, okay, I'll take it.
Well, that's if I do end up coming back to Wrath, I was thinking about making a pally. So. I've been wanting to do either prod or holy. I used to always play priest, so changed up to pally a little bit. So yeah, I'll take that gear. I'll funnel it out.
I play prop. I play prop pally on my other character.
Nice. Yeah, it's I don't know. Prop pally is so much I think fun in Wrath. It's really simple and it's just like I don't know. It just feels kind of smooth compared to like what prop was in TBC. I like the half hour R's much better than the fucking 30-second ones, whatever they were, right?
Oh yes. Yeah. Oh my god, those were awful.
Yeah, but I did.
They were like 5 minutes, weren't they? Like that's ridiculous. Who does that?
Yeah, and I did start leveling my priest as discipline as well, discipline and shadow, and I have all that Sunwell gear, so I literally just dot something and it dies in like 2 seconds. So it's not really that fun right now, but yeah, like I said, I think I might start playing a little bit of Wrath here and there. I do. I mean, Ulduar is such a good raid. It really is. It's one of my favorite of all time. So I would like to get in there before it's like, it's being joked about, in a couple weeks or a couple months or so. Like, all the hard modes are going to be a lot easier and all that, Lich King gear and all the ICC gear.
Scotty, you were talking about General Vezax, and I've gotten real tired of DPSing him down to 2% and then staying there doing nothing for a minute and a half.
Yeah, it's a very, very annoying fight. The ones that I detest is Vezax, Yogg, because let's face it, like even when you do it, like if you're doing Yogg 0, the fight doesn't start until the end. Literally the last 1 minute of the fight is the only thing that matters. So you have to like sit through 6.5 minutes of pain.
Yeah, we're not looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's, but Vezax is awful. Yeah, once everyone's geared and your damage is like, sky high and you're dropping down to 2 healers on it. And it's just, they could do with some changes, a change to that where you can just go, look, I want hard mode. Start, I don't know, you flick a switch and it starts all your healers and DPS on 50% mana. And the animus spawns, so because let's face it, that's what everyone does anyway. Everyone makes sure they've got 50% mana for when the animus spawns. So just start with 50% mana.
Yep. And then early on, talking people into saving the 50% mana was kind of a pain. They're like, seriously, guys, save half your mana, please. They're like, huh?
Try telling that to a mage, right? Or so, yeah.
They're like, but ABC,
well,
ABC.
Yeah.
It's so just weird when you just stop completely. Yeah, it's always a little odd. All right, well, let's play this first voicemail real quick here.
Hey, what's up, Bob and the Warcraft Reloaded team? My name is Leroy, been a listener of your podcast for I mean, probably over a year. Usually listen when I'm on like long walks or drives. It's awesome that your podcast goes for usually about 2 hours, as it gives me a lot to listen to. I've been playing WoW since almost since it first came out in 2004. Came over from playing Dota and other Warcraft 3 maps, and raided all through vanilla, played all the way through to Wrath, and of course when Classic came out I had to jump straight on that. Done a bunch of raid tanking and DPSing, and right now I'm in a definitely not hardcore guild. I guess you could kind of consider us a dad guild, and we don't currently have any 25 hard modes down in Ulduar, but we're slowly progressing through. Honestly, that's how I like to play. It's very nostalgic and reminiscent of the older days when you wouldn't clear all the bosses in one night. It took a bit of time to get through it, and it's it's very satisfying having that delayed gratification. Something that you don't so much get in games these days. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I think there's a lot of people like that just like they don't really, not looking for anything difficult. They're just looking to have some beers with the boys and just knock out some bosses, and aren't even really worried about trying hard modes. I thought it was interesting because if you look at Warcraft logs, it's only like 27% of guilds have killed Algalon. Like, it's just like, it's, and everybody's all over the place. So there's so many guilds that have certain hard modes down, but not all of them, they can't create their keys. Probably the biggest problem, but it's interesting because some guilds have, some things are super easy. Like general physics was one of our first hard modes we dropped, right? It was that week that last week that you came on, Scotty, where you were like, just try it. We did, and we just knocked it out in like three, took like 3 tries, but then like I have one of our listeners and comes into my chat a lot, talks about how that was like the last one for them, and they finally got it down. And it's just interesting, the different routes. But I think this has been the coolest progression for my guild personally since the start, because we didn't do any PTR, and we only raid 5 hours a week total, right? And like we got to work on a few different hard modes every week, and like just slowly progress through the weeks. And it's been so satisfying, and having something new to work on every week, it's been really neat, and I've loved it. But I know you, Scotty, you've done it so many times. You're with a guild that, had done it so many times, and you did PTR too. And like your journey, what I feel like was a lot shorter than my journey.
Yeah, but we did have, we've got some big sort of ex-private server veterans. When I say veterans, I'm talking people who know like every name that has been on private servers. Like you got the usual offenders, the ones who go on, get server first, and then move on to the next server. People that were in that gang. But then we've got people that had never done Ulduar before, not back in the day or not now. So there was still definitely, actually, to be fair, a longer learning curve for some people than I would have liked. But yeah, I mean, Algalon took us far longer than I would have liked. I think it was like 6 resets before we killed it. When I'd say 70% of the guild knew exactly how to kill it, in the first night. It wasn't gear that was holding us back. It was literally execution.
I think that
was the thing that annoyed me the most, was probably how long it took us to kill Algalon. But overall, obviously, since then, we're killing it in 2 groups now. We kill Algalon twice a week on 25 man.
Well, I think that's like, that just like the tried and true thing, that I always push, and like a lot of people do too, is just, you got to join a guild that wants the same goals as you. And like, I don't think we have any Wrath. We have private server people, but no, I don't think any Wrath private server people, right? And so we have a lot of people like me who did do the stuff back in the day, but it was 15 years ago, you know, like it's real hazy. Like it was super hazy. And so, you know, we were all just learning together. And so I don't think we ever had any, like, it was just always a very chill progression for us. Like I'd have people coming in my chat going, and, you know, we on council, we wiped like, the first time we tried it, it was like hour and a half or 2 hours. Then the next day we come in and the next day we come in one shot it. But during those wipes, people in my chat are like, dude, you guys are just so chill. Like nobody's getting like tilted. Like you guys are just chill. And I was like, yeah, I mean, just trying to get it done and, you know, and
I think we're going with the plan. I think Harskar raid leader is really chill, right? So it's not like we're going and trying the same exact thing and just getting the same results, right? Like he'll usually make some sort of like, hey, okay, we need to make sure we're doing this, or hey, we, you know, let's, you know, look at the logs, make sure so-and-so you're standing closer to the boss so you don't get this or something, right? So it doesn't seem like it's just repetitive failure. It seems like every time you move, you've made a little bit of progress and you're like, oh, okay, I understand that better now.
He does do a really good job. Like when I raid lead, it's horrible. I either say what I want done way too nice and almost as a question, or I'm a complete asshole. Like I can't find the in between. Like I'm either a complete asshole or, hey guys, do you mind doing this? Like, I mean, it's horrible. But Harskar does it really good.
But I think community matters a lot. Sorry, mate, go on, you go first.
Oh no, I was just saying, I think what Leroy was saying, you know, having that feeling of going in there and not clearing the whole raid in one night, like it feels like you worked for it harder. It feels like you know, like going in there into like some of my fondest memories were doing Nax without world buffs, right? Like doing Sephiron without world buffs, you know, going in there, maybe taking like all night to get that fight down. But then when you do, it feels so much more rewarding. You know what I mean? And I think that's where Ulduar, from what I remember when I did it back in the day, doing these hard modes, it was like, you know, getting it down and feeling like, you know, everyone learned together, everyone is doing better progressively the next week. Yep. And you're not just going in there and clearing it like it's like, you know, molten core or something like that, right? You know what I mean?
There's something satisfying though about being able to choose hard modes and still clear the entire dungeon while you're progressing on one hard mode, right? Like I think beating your head against one hard mode and then not being able to clear the rest of the dungeon if you don't get it down, I think is defeating to a lot of people, right? Being able to say like, hey, we're going to work on this one. If we don't get it, we'll change it to normal and we'll move on and we'll do more next week, right? Yep. That was very helpful.
Yep. And that's where talk could be very, very punishing. But what I was going to say was, you know, for me personally, we absolutely could have just, you know, there's a lot of ex-private server players that we know, and we could have quite easily got just all of those people together. But like, I am not the sort of, as long as people are learning, you know, like I'm actually a lot more patient than I used to be. You know, back in original Wrath, I've kicked people from the guild mid-raid. You know, I was very toxic, you know, but I was a lot younger and, you know.
I was toxic in original Wrath too.
Yeah, but now I've chilled out a bit, you know, so I value our community, like the guild, more than if we was 10th on the server or 20th on the server. As long as we clear all the content in a reasonably timely manner still, I'd rather do it with people that I enjoy playing with than doing it with, because I've done it so many times. What difference to me does it make when we go and clear talk? I cleared talk less than 6 months ago on a private server. What you know, it's not really going to be that rewarding, but it will be a lot more enjoyable if I'm doing it with people that I like playing with. You know?
Yeah, back in the day, Mel and I were in top guilds, and I mean, we played with a bunch of dicks. I mean. They were,
same here. I mean,
like, I didn't keep any friends afterwards because I was like, I don't like these people. These people like throw out racial slurs all the time and all. Like, I was just like, I was there for a means to an end to be the best, right? And like, I didn't care to talk to them at all. Like, I had a couple people were cool, right? You know, but like now I feel like communities changed so much, and I'm just blessed with a really good, inclusive guild. Like, it's crazy. Our weekend raid now has something like 10 women in it, which is I think the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, we had a lot of women on our which were amazing players.
Oh
too,
yeah, they're good. They're good.
I mean, like, and I think a big thing is like just being more mature. Like when I was younger, it was almost like I had something to prove. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm one of the best this or one of the best that on the server. And it's like, who cares? Nowadays, I just like, it was more like a job back then to me than it was playing a game and having fun. And now it's all about playing a game and having fun, and less like it's like, I don't want to come home and feel like I'm working. I want to come home and feel like I'm relaxing and doing what I want to do. But back when I was younger, you know, when I was in my early 20s or whatever, it's like, you know, I got something to prove. I'm, you know, you walk into Dalaran and you're strutting your stuff with all your gear and like, you know, waiting for people to inspect you and shit, right? Like that's how my mentality was.
Oh, you're looking at me, aren't you?
Yeah. But, you know, I think like a lot of it is just being more mature, getting older. You know, I'm almost 30, I've just turned 34. So it's like, it's not the same thing that I'm looking for, which what I was looking for back then was something completely different.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. And that's how I was. But, you know, back in the day, like the whole time I was playing retail, you know, like it was just about being the best, being surrounded by the best.
Yeah.
Whereas I know that is what it is for some people on Classic, you know, the top guilds, that is what it's about. But yeah, it's not about that for me anymore. Like I say, as long as I get everything done, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if Tok was launching and we still hadn't killed Algalon. You know.
That's fair. Yeah, there's a certain level that it has to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me always has been because I've been with the same guild all through the entirety of Classic, which is crazy for me because I guild hopped every expansion before. And it's like as long as we always get things down before they nerf it is like where I really want to be. Like I want to be in a guild, you know, that does that. And that's what we've done every time. We got, you know, Lady Vash and TK down, you know, before they nerfed it, you know, like weeks before. And it felt good.
You guys were racing with us. I remember you guys were right behind us at one point. Yeah.
Yep. And then
would you see the content's getting a bit stale though already? You know, as in as much as I say I enjoy Ulduar, it's probably a little bit different for me, you know, because like at the moment I'm raid leading 2 25-mans on EU, and then I raid in a sense of purpose on Mankrik on NA, where I obviously just sit there quietly pretty much and just raid. Now the NA raid for me is my place to chill. Like I really enjoy raiding with a sense of purpose because I just get to sit there and play the game and enjoy it and take orders, you know, rather than that responsibility of if a raid goes to shit like on a Wednesday night, it's like they're gonna look at me like what are you gonna do? Whereas when I'm raiding in NA, if it goes to shit and it's gonna take 2 nights to clear, whatever, you know, I'm gonna be there the next night to go and do it again anyway. But I feel like the frustration levels it's got to now, even in our guild, that when you wipe on, let's say, I don't know, let's say you wiped on Thorim or Hodir or Mimeron, and you feel that tense like environment on disc straight away, where it's like, why have we wiped once this raid? We shouldn't be wiping anymore. You know, like, are you not getting that already? Because we're getting it, like, you sense it straight away after one wipe.
We're not there yet. We like make stupid wipes all the time. Like on Freya, we'll wipe for some just stupid reason, and we'll be like, all right, wipe, let's come back. And I think because it took us so much longer to get to where we are now, right? Like we've only done Algalon 3 weeks. It took us a while to get Mim hard mode down. And so I think for us, there's certain times where it's like, wow, we one-shot all of those. That was pretty good. Good job, guys.
We're going pretty fast. We're damn near close to 2.5 hour one-nighters, you know, doing all hard modes. I mean, like, we're really close, but we just haven't. We do have weird things happen at times, but we've got everybody pretty much on the same page now. Like when you call a wipe, everybody runs in and tries to die instead of trying to run from the boss and all the bullshit that you see in all the other raids. Like,
oh my god!
And you know, and we get back fast. We get back pulling quick. You know, like I do know what you're talking about people. Like I don't lead the 25-mans, like either of them. I do make calls in the 25-man that I tank, but I lead a 10-man Monday night group that's doing all the hard modes. And man, the progression of that, I always felt it was my fault. Even when it wasn't, like I was still like, well, I came up with the plan, so it is my fault. Like I'm just like, fuck. Like,
well, they just didn't execute it the way that you.
Well, there's just things I don't know too. Like I don't know everything about every class, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I like, you know, some weeks I'd have some really knowledgeable people and they'd help me. And then like, I'd be like, oh, okay, we can try that, you know? And now I know everything that I need to know to get all the hard modes down. So it's not as hard, but when stuff goes south, it does feel like it's my fault.
Well, like last week, I made when I say a gamble, the guild knew it was coming, but there was a lot of pressure on our Thursday run because, you know, like on a Wednesday, we go in full clear everything, including Yogg Zero, you know, and it's longer than 2.5 hours. I'll be honest with you. It normally takes us probably about 3 hours. But Yogg, we normally spend maybe 30 minutes on because we might wipe 3 or 4 times before it goes down. You know, silly mistakes, the tank dying, like whatever.
Because you're doing Yogg Zero every time, right?
Yeah, Yogg Zero, and a couple of, you know, a string of non-avoided attacks from the tank at the end with all those ads on him, and it can be game over. We've not quite got that mega clean. We've got like, I don't know, 5 Mimiron's heads in the guild. You know, we've killed it multiple times, but it's still not super clean. So we do waste time there every week. But on Thursday, I like made a semi-split is what I'd call it. I took like 7 or 8 mains out of the main group on Wednesday and then put them in with all ults. And some of those ults were terribly, but when I say terribly cleared, you know, maybe 4.2k, something like that.
Right.
And we cleared it, as in killed Algalon, everything with that group. But I was stressed for like an hour before the raid, thinking if this goes to shit, those 8 mains that could have been getting loot in the Wednesday run are probably not going to be best pleased. You know?
Yeah.
So, Scotty, you have rated on both NA and EU, right?
I raid every week, yeah.
So, do you notice on average like a big difference between NA and EU players in terms of just basic, like, you know, quality?
In terms of actual player quality, no, not really. But in terms of, I would say patience and actually being nice, I would say NA is a lot nicer place to be than EU.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I
That was gonna
really
go the other way.
I did.
no.
Yeah.
I even pugs that I've joined. You know, I've been when I was first on NA and I was trying to gear the priest up. I was doing Nax pugs, I was doing OS pugs, you know, stuff like that, just to try and get some gear before I went into Ulduar. And every pug was like super chill and nice, you know.
Huh.
Whereas, yeah, no, like the commute, the atmosphere and everything when I'm raiding with the NA guild, everyone's quite nice. It's mainly the YouTubers like Classic Go to Boomy. I mean, he's a bit of a dick. Like there's people like that, you know, that are a bit toxic on Discord. But everybody else, other than Classic Go, is really nice. Like everyone, it is only Classic Go that lets that guild down.
That makes sense. Yeah. 100%
Whereas in our guild on EU, everyone's a dick.
Wow.
There isn't anyone nice in our guild.
A bunch of classic goes in EU, man.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Jekyll and Hyde, as in like when I'm on NA, I'm super nice. I'm really chill on Discord. I don't talk a lot. I don't crack jokes. When I'm in my guild during a raid, you know, there's harsh words said every other sentence, pretty much.
That's so funny because, like, I you know, I think Mel's on the same page. Like, a lot of people in the NA, like, we've heard that there's a lot of toxicity on EU, but we've always heard like EU's better players, EU's more organized, EU's, you know, the guilds are better, you know, because like every event we have where it's EU versus NA, EU always wins, always. Like it could be a Mythic Invitational or it could be a hardcore challenge, right? And it just seems like EU always wins. And I'm always like, you know, is it just a style of player? Is it just, or does, you know, like it sounds like
maybe it's because they're mean, you know?
Yeah,
like,
they all have a chip on their shoulder, it sounds like.
Well,
right?
I think there's a lot more, and this like, again, I could be completely wrong here, but I would say from my experience on all the private servers I've played on, it always seems like a very, very big EU thing, like more EU players on private servers than NA. Like I very, very rarely run into someone from the NA on a private server. I don't know why, but they're normally based in England, aren't they?
Yeah, they're based in Russia normally, right? So lag probably like
not all. Yeah, some of them were in France. Like Lights Hope was in, where was Lights Hope again? Was it France, I think, or Belgium or something like that?
Yeah.
But that
No,
might discourage
I've
him.
not noticed the difference really. As I say, player quality wise, it seems pretty much the same. And there shouldn't be a difference, should there? Really, as I say, it's, you would expect if someone from England can play a mage, someone from America can play a mage as well.
I don't know. You met some of the people in America
in England. They've got different, number of fingers and stuff.
True.
Yeah, I've had good luck with most pugs too. People are usually pretty chill and nice. Yeah, I've only had a few different times where I've had a bad experience. Although getting in that, I don't know if it was South America. They spoke Spanish, but they were just speaking Spanish the entire time. Like they were just BSing between each other. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to have Discord on, but you're making calls too. So like, can you guys just make calls during this? Like the majority of us can't understand what you're saying. Like, and then all of a sudden English would just pop out for like one call. And then they go back to talking about, wait, what did you just say to do? What? I was tuned out. I was tuned out. Like,
what was that one server that was known for being like really bad? And it was like primarily like, I think a Brazilian server that like no one wanted to have anything to do with back on retail. Maybe it was Firemall or no, not Firemall. It began with an F, but like, yeah, that's what I mean. Like certain areas get certain stigmas attached to them. You know what I mean?
Well, Whitemane had like one of the biggest Chinese guilds on it. I went to all of their GDKPs and they didn't like, make me feel weird talking amongst themselves during it, like they just tried to make calls, but I'm not trying to say this was this was because I was just saying this group was kind of annoying because I was like, I had to listen to it, but I didn't want to listen to it all the time. And I know we have a lot of listeners in Brazil, so I'm not trying to talk shit.
No, that's what I mean. It's a stigma. It's a stigma. That's what it was. Ragnaros. That was the server. And, you see like one or two bad players from one. So then everyone starts to assume that, everyone for Ragnaros is a bad player. Right. And that's how I think the EU NA kind of thing was. Like you always heard back in Classic, the best guilds were usually EU guilds.
Yeah, I heard that constantly.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a stigma, but I think, like ScotteJaye said, when you look at like the average overall player, it pretty much equals out no matter where you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I also just point out to any listeners that Bob's hate for Brazilians doesn't represent the rest of our opinions and thoughts. By the way,
yeah, right.
That's very much just a Bob thing. I love Brazilians.
Same here. Yes.
Dude, okay, first,
agreed.
So like basically, Spanish irks me because I'm pissed that my government didn't teach me Spanish growing up. Like, why did we not teach us? Like, everybody in EU learns English as a second language. Why were we so stubborn to not teach our children how to communicate with our neighbors? I was just like,
so you hate Brazilian Spanish. What do you think about the French? What are your views on the French, Bob? Can we get that one out?
I love the French. My boy AKM showed me around Paris. Former Overwatch League player. When I did the Overwatch podcast, I just happened to be in Paris when he was home visiting, and he took me out. It was really cool. But
so French from France is good, but not French Canadian. Got it.
Can we just talk about the fact that story did not include me at all, and I was there the whole time? Like, how are we just leaving Mel out of the story?
Well, because you're normally the star of the story, so if I bring you up, then it doesn't sound as cool.
Always just like, well, and me and this person, and it's like, yeah,
and
Mel was there too.
And then Mel was there. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, Bob.
No, I'm mad at the USA. I guess they are teaching it now, but like it makes me mad because learning languages is hard later on. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really mad at my family for not teaching me Italian, but what are you gonna do? There's nothing you can do about it.
Yep.
Yeah, my grandparents didn't teach me Spanish because they wanted to talk about things in front of us and not have us understand.
Yeah, that and like a lot of my family, like when they came from Italy, like they wanted us so I'm third generation, so my grandparents from Italy, but they didn't want our family like knowing Italian because they felt like we would fit in better if we just acted like we all spoke English,
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
that part of it too. But yeah, it's always so funny because I meet people from EU and they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, my English is so bad." I'm like, "Do you realize that you speak better English than most people in America?" Like,
Right.
it's ridiculous. You know, Dunedin, I had him on yesterday. We were talking, and he always used to say, like, "Oh, sorry if you can't understand." I'm like, "Dude, if you were to come to America and realize how bad some people speak English in,
Oh my gosh.
in this country, like, bro, you speak English better than 50% of the people in this country."
Dude, you know what? And okay, so we watched this Yellowstone 1883 show recently, right? And it's all about the Oregon Trail. Remember the game we played? But like, it was super, super sad. But I started to think, this is probably how we developed so many different American accents, because different countries, like, they would have a huge pack of people from one country going, you know, to one area, right? And like, that's probably how we got all of our different accents. But
yeah,
I have no clue if that's right, but
I mean, you look at
made me
like
think of that.
Yeah, they look at like Creole and Cajun, like they all talk like that because you know they have like the French influence there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Down in Louisiana. But yeah, I mean, like that's just how.
Listen, all I know is we were watching this, and I'm old, right? So I played the like little Oregon Trail game on the computer, right, at school when I was growing up.
Yep,
and
I did too.
They were like, okay, we're at a river, and I was like, oh man, they're gonna break an axle. Kid's gonna drown. Somebody's dying, right? Like, I know getting across this river is not gonna be good. I played this game before.
Yeah.
Broke a couple axles. A couple people drowned. Yeah.
Oh, and
turn this into a Yellowstone podcast. To be fair, the Duttons are my favorite family ever.
Dude, I waited for so long to start it, and we started season 1 and just binged the whole thing. I was like, this is like the Cowboy Mafia.
Is it that good?
Oh, it's so good, dude. It's so good.
I gotta check it out. Okay. My mom's been watching.
I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea what it was. I was just looking for something to watch. I was like, Yellowstone. Oh, it's got Kevin Costner in. I'll watch that. I watched one episode, Lost Christmas last year. I don't know what happened.
Yep.
I watched Yellowstone. I watched all of 1923, 1883. I absolutely love it. And I'm gutted that it looks like Kevin Costner ain't coming back as well. So
I am going to watch it later this evening. So
you'll love it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
We're like halfway through 1923. We watched all 5 seasons of Yellowstone, then we watched 1883, and now we're on 1923. And the worst, though, is us like trying to figure out, like, we're like watching 1923, and we're like, wait, who is this going to be? Like, and it, like, we have to rewind so many times because we spent like 10 minutes talking to each other. Like, well, I think that's going to be the son of so and so, and then this, and wait, they just called it his brother. What is happening right now?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's so good. I mean, I think Yellowstone's the best out of all 3 of them, to be fair.
Yeah. But it was crazy because we started 1883, and I was like, wait a second, because the sister who comes with him at the start is also in season 5. And I was like, wait a second, I know her. So I look at IMDb and I was like, oh crap, the other girl's Faith Hill. I didn't look at who the dude was, right? And we're sitting there, episode 2, and she's shaving him, and he gets to that like goatee, and I was like, "That's Tim McGraw too." I was like, "What the hell?" Like,
oh wow,
yeah, and like I didn't recognize until he got that like that goatee going. I was like, "Oh, Tim McGraw." Yep. But it's a great podcast. Limo in the chat asks like, "What parse culture's like in NA?" I assume it's the same, man. Like, it sucks. It's people.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty of it too. Like, you know, like I'll be on the cat lady, Ariaya, and I'll be fanonizing like crazy, you know, on the first ads. And then when them small ads come out, I don't fan once.
No. It wastes energy. Don't count on the logs.
Yep. And so, it's bad. Like, but what does suck is like I'm still chasing 99s. Like I'm the combat rogue, so oftentimes I'm a tool. Like if our hunter doesn't come, you know, I'm wound poisoning on some fights, you know, and like if we don't have the right stuff going on, especially in I mean, 10 mans I don't really try to parse, but at 10 mans I have to do a lot of utility. Freya, maybe sometimes I have to do crippling, and that requires a weapon swap. And, you know, it's like,
yeah,
I'm still chasing them, but I'm not chasing them. I'm not chasing them at the peril of the raid. You know, like me not killing those small ads doesn't mean we don't get the boss down. So I'm looking to parse once I know it's not going to hurt everybody, but it is pain for a lot of people. And it's, you know, I don't know how to fix it though. Like, I don't think there is a way to fix it.
That's the problem. Everyone hates it, but everyone's a slave to it. And it's like,
it's the metric now.
Yeah.
Like, but the problem is, like, when you say you're chasing 99s, like, don't get me wrong, you know, I'm exactly the same. I'm more bothered about chasing 99s on NA, actually, like on my Shadow Priest, because it's DPS, you know, they're the passes that matter. I literally, as long as no one dies in the raid, I couldn't care whether I get a 1 or a 99 or 100 on a Holy Paladin.
Yep.
You know, like, when people fuck up, you know what I mean? It's like,
exactly. And I'd rather they didn't. I'd rather I passed low on the Holy Paladin.
Right.
And also, it doesn't help that we've been running 2 Holy Paladins in the same group, and the other Holy Paladin, Ortrus, is a god Holy Paladin. You know, so it's like between us, we're gimping each other. If you know what I mean. Neither of us is ever going to pass very well because one of us needs to leave. Ortrus, it's been nice you've been in the guild, mate.
Well, it also
somewhere else.
It also depends on, like, you know, everybody else in the raid too, and what strategies you're using to kill the bosses, right? You know, like,
you're a slave to your guild. Like you can only pass as well as everybody else in your raid. And
exactly,
you know, when I look at you know, if I look at ours on EU, NA, it doesn't matter what, and you're seeing people pass, and this is not like not saying anything bad about any individuals, but you know, if they're passing like mid 60s, you know, to 70s, something like that, that means the boss is going to take longer to kill, which means the ones at the top who might be able to pass 99 are now going to be passing 97s, you know, and then it's got that trickle down effect, isn't it, where everybody's pass is affected basically by the lower end.
I've got all 90 plus, which, you know, makes me feel like I'm a competent player. I might not be the best in the world, you know, but there's a guy in our guild, a mage, who has all 99s, and I'm just like, and he does it week in and week out. Like, not every week 99s on everything, but 99s on at least half the fights every week. And I'm just like, damn, you're doing that with the same guild, you know? And I'm just like, you know, like those are people that are just above and beyond, like, really good.
But then you stick him in a raid with others who are doing 99s, and now he could be getting hundreds. You know, but there are also there's classes that suffer a lot more than others, aren't there? You know, like a Shadow Priest, for example, don't really matter who you're put with, in my opinion anyway, because they've got really no cooldowns that they rely around. It's more just trinkets. You know, like if you was to get your trinkets proc 10 seconds before the boss dies, your damage is going to be slightly higher than if it died 10 seconds before your trinkets came off cooldown. But it's not as substantial as a boss dying 10 seconds before a Feral Druid's Berserk comes off cooldown, or, you know, any big cooldowns like that. So boss kill times matter a lot.
Yeah, they do. I've been lucky enough to be a healer through pretty much most of all of my WoW career. So, but, you know, was able to parse pretty well as a healer. But, like, you know, healing parses is like, it's like whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it really is.
I could also say, I'm playing combat too, which is quite a bit harder than mutilate. It's just the truth. I mean, mute does have some things that you're like, oh, I need to think about this, but combat's a lot of decisions quickly.
I suppose the trade-off though is it's harder. Let's say it's harder to play, but then you've got less overall passes.
True.
So there is then less competition. You know, that's why arcane mages have an easier time hitting 99s. Frost mages, even ferals to a certain extent. You know, I would say I see a lot of high passing ferals, but then there's so many bad ferals that it makes it a little bit easier for them. I can slag druids off all I want now. I'm not a druid anymore, you know.
But it is definitely rewarding to keep improving. But I mean, I had 99s across the board all through TBC, you know, hitting Shadowbolt, like, just because I do know my ABCs, and that's something that I do keep up. But, you know, like, you know, now I'm back to melee, keeping up with the boss. Like, you have just those few seconds you don't realize you're not hitting the boss. those are the worst. You're like, okay, just lost the parse there. God damn it. You know, like.
But because we're all a slave to it as well now, it really is. I don't want to say it makes the game toxic, but it really does. It can impact your ability to have fun whilst playing the game. Because like I'll use Feral Druids as an example, where you put in a lot of effort. You know, like, I'm so over playing Feral. Like everyone in the guild knows, I'm raiding every week as on my ult as Feral. But this is Ernest's words, actually, who obviously is a diehard Feral. He's played Feral for years and years and years and years. That you put so much in and you put so much more in than other classes and get less out. So it's demoralizing, you know, when you're trying so hard, bear weaving, flower shifting, you're doing all of this to try and just be average. You know, that's literally what you're going to end up as. So then what happens is people re-roll Unholy DK, or they re-roll, you know, Affliction Warlock or whatever, and then you get these classes that are actually useful, because a Feral's super useful in the raid. You know, it's another Innovate, another combat res. Yeah. You know, the ability to be able to like go in bear and taunt and rocket boots away, which can save a wipe. But you know, then they're looking at themselves at the bottom of details, and it's like, fuck this, I'll go on Unholy DK, and I'm going to be at the top.
Then they're also getting shit from the tanks, because it's like, fuck, dude, you guys bear weaving are taking so much threat. Like,
you do no damage, but get loads of threat.
Yeah. We have a really good Feral Druid, and he definitely lets us know how much of a pain in the ass it is.
I play with two very good Feral Druids, and they're both in chat at the moment. Play with Table Slam on NA and Ernest on EU. I'm blessed to get to play with him too.
He was in chat too earlier. I don't know if he still is, but he in chat he is Swag Cat.
Yep.
But yeah, he's really good. And yeah, like when he gets some crazy parses on Ho Deer, where I'm just like, how did that oh no, damn it. See, I did it again. He gets crazy parses because he switches to Booby. I keep forgetting that. It's like, I'm always like, every time we end, I'm like, God damn, how'd you get Cat to do that much? Every time I forget. I forget that he's not feral there.
Keep putting him on a pedestal.
No, he's a good guy, a very knowledgeable raider, and one of those guys that can read logs and help you understand what went wrong in different fights. So definitely a very good guy to have.
You guys sold me. I'm ready to raid again. God damn it. Fuck, man.
All right, well, let's move into time for the news. All right. So this has all been fixed now, but I had to, we have to cover the news. So earlier on in the week, Sarth did a little video on it or something. I think that's the one I saw, but the albino snake, just casting it to take it out as a pet, was proccing Meteorite Crystal. They fixed it. And then I think you made the next video, which is even funnier. Find Fish was proccing Meteorite Crystal. And they fixed that too. But Scotty, do you want to kind of give us like a little overview of like what this was?
I don't know. I genuinely, I didn't even know it was a thing until it got hotfixed. As in, I only found out from the hotfix to the albino snake about Find Fish, because I've had Meteorite Crystal since, I don't know, week 2, something like that. Why on earth would I pop out an albino snake when I've got the Meteorite Crystal prop? It's not even something I would think of doing, or, quick, I'm moving, let's use Find Fish. Like, I didn't know anything about it. And the thing is with me, I genuinely don't get time to sit, as much as I'd love to, I don't get time to sit and look through class discords all day long. So when these little quirky things are being found and they're all over class discords, I normally am one of the last to find out about it until, when it gets hotfixed. Because, I don't really care about those things either. Yeah. Like, I don't actively seek them out because the content's, sorry for anyone who's still progressing, but the content's easy enough. You don't need to cheese things like that to make it easier, because there's, I'm not going to go into specifics at the moment because firstly, somebody from the guild will shoot me, but you might see one come out very soon about Yogg Zero and how to kill Yogg Zero without ever getting hit by an ad. We need to do some more testing on it, but we think we've found something where you can physically ignore all ads and just nuke the boss and nobody will get hit by an ad. But yeah, there's somebody in the guild that's looking into that more. So I can't tell you exactly what it is, but that'll be the next thing you see hotfix once we use it. So
Yeah, right.
but that's just for fun. You know, that's so we could literally just go in with like one healer, one tank just for the first phase and then just blast it and then it gets fixed and it's like, whatever.
What's interesting is a lot of these things pop up in the NA Blizzard content creators server. And it always cracks me up because I'm like, oh, now everybody's going to make a video about it real quick because it just popped up there.
Yeah, but my thoughts, just about that in general, as in fine fish procking that trinket, obviously it shouldn't be able to do that. And it's the same. So what I find actually hilarious is when they said about Valanir and, the fact that the shield it was a typo and it's been there since 2008 and it could stack to 200k. And you've got all these classic content creators who haven't played on like loads and loads of different private servers, thinking that what they've said is true. But I call bollocks on that because every private server I've ever played on, it's stacked to 20k. And they take all their code, they're reverse engineered the, original patch and client. So if it only stacks to 20k on there, why would it all of a sudden stack to 200k on here? That seems to me like just a bit of an oversight and someone, probably an intern who gets paid 5p an hour, just put a number in wrong, because that would have been found. If that happened back in the day, it weren't like, oh, no one ever got Valanir. That would have been known.
Yeah. Well, it was an interesting thing and kind of funny. The next piece of news has me as a tank kind of shaking in my boots. Okay, so I guess supposedly dodge rating has been broken and it hasn't been displaying for you double, but I guess people have been getting double the dodge rating for everything, and it's been actually applying that on bosses.
Whoa.
So they're fixing that next week, Tuesday. And in doing that, they feel that they need to reduce Algalon's melee damage by 10%. But I'm just worried about the feel of every fight. And also as a warrior, my rage generation, dodges is, I'm always full pretty much most of the time, but still though, will that affect me on other bosses? And is this stuff going to feel weird? I don't know.
You're saying every tank right now has double the dodge they're supposed to?
Double the dodge from dodge rating. I don't think it does it with defense. So the dodge you get from defense, I don't think it does it with that, but any item that has dodge rating, you were getting double the effect.
And they're just noticing this now.
Yeah, because it didn't show on your character sheet. They're just noticing it now, and now I just feel like there might be some weird shit that happens. I don't know.
Well, so this is the thing, right? I was not arguing. I was conversing with people in the YouTube comments of the video about this that I put out. Because I looked on Warcraft logs at our Algalon 10 kill during the day and Ignis and a few other kills. And everyone was like, oh, you're misunderstanding it. It's double the dodge. Yeah, so if your sheet says 20%, you'll have 40%. Because when you look on Warcraft logs, that's, it was showing roughly, let's say, 60% dodges or 40% dodges in terms of.
Oh, see, I didn't read it like that. I thought it was just dodge
you're
rating.
Right. No, you're right. This is what I mean. This is what I was arguing about or semi-arguing about, because they're saying, no, it's double dodge. And I'm like, well, that's not what Blizzard said. Blizzard said it's only from dodge rating, and you get dodge from Paladin gets 5% just from talents. You get a dodge from defense. There's more than just dodge rating. So actually, when I was saying, no, it's not doubled, it could even be tripled. It could be quadrupled, because on my tank, I think I dodged 60 odd percent of the attacks that missed, which would have equated to about 40% dodge, like of all attacks. My dodge is 20%, but the actual amount of dodge that I get from rating is only 6%, or 4% it might have been even. So if that was doubled, technically I should only have 8% more dodge. You know, not 20% more dodge.
Oh,
And
so you're saying you think that they actually screwed up, and it was like, that's even scarier. I watched your video, but I didn't quite understand what you were saying.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people was in the same boat with that video. To be fair, I knew what I was saying, just no one else did. But there's apparently been I think there's been more digging done into it, and it's something like the dodge before diminishing returns plus the dodge after diminishing returns is being added together. So it could almost be double the amount you're getting, but it is scary because there's more hard hitting bosses than just Algalon, and 10%. He's going to do 10% less damage with physical attacks. But when you think about if you was to be now dodging only 20% of the attacks instead of where at the moment I'm dodging like 60% of them, that 10% physical damage reduction is not going to outweigh flat out not getting hit by another 30 or 40 attacks.
Well, and I've got that dodge trinket, and I'm like, man, that trinket's been awesome, been OP, but now I'm like, is it not going to be OP anymore? Like,
you're going to use it on a cooldown that usually it's like wonderful on, and you're just going to get smashed.
Yeah, like because I'll throw that trinket in with, say, I have to take a raid sack on a Vezix, or a plasma blast from Mim. Like I'll throw that trinket in with a shield block and get the raid sack, and that makes up that that it's not a huge single cooldown, but like now I'm just like I have to rethink this, and I'm just afraid of what it's going to look like next week. Like I don't know.
I think it'll be fine. I don't think it's going to be that big of a. From what it sounds like, I mean,
it's either going to be a huge deal or we're not going to notice hardly at all, right?
Well,
like
just,
I feel
if
like
Scotty's seen like 60% dodge, then like that's scary.
Have you not actually seen the DK log that's been floating around of the Death Knight tanking Algalon and he didn't get hit by the boss? The boss didn't hit him. He dodged every single attack because he full gemmed dodge
and built a dodge
trinket
set
from Nax. Yeah, dodge on every item, and he literally does not get hit.
That's why they said they wanted to fix it, because they didn't want like people to start min-maxing
this is getting nerfed. Is that what I'm hearing?
It's his fault. I genuinely, I'm not scaremongering. I do think it's going to be noticeable. I really do.
Yeah, I'm definitely scared. I guess like people have been using it forever now in Arena. They've been just like taking advantage of it. So, Thorum too. Like,
Thorum's gonna be.
I can't believe they just noticed this. Like, I mean, I don't know.
What was the one thing that they noticed? Oh, was it in TBC or was it in Wrath? Where we were like, how did you just now notice that? What the heck was it?
Oh, it was
To be fair, though, nobody noticed it. Like nobody in the community was like, unless they were just like not saying anything, because they were just like, well, I'm not going to say I'm dodging more than I should be. But
I looked back because I tanked all of phase 1, and I looked back at like Patchwork was the main one that I was looking at, and I was looking at all of the kills on Patchwork, and I know I might actually, like, I can't remember exactly how much dodge I would have had, in phase 1 when I was tanking.
Right.
But I was dodging significantly less, even in phase 1, than I am now. So I don't know if it's been like it all the time or if it's been like it since phase 2 and something had changed. But it was significantly less, as in like some fights I was only dodging like 30%. Whereas every fight I looked at of me tanking in phase 2, it was at least nearly 50%. It was still a bit of a jump, but
it was Diamond Flash, Bob.
Huh?
Diamond Flash, like Table said, it was Diamond Flash. Remember?
With scaling power.
Yeah, Blizz didn't notice it. Like everyone knew it, and like Blizz didn't notice it until like TBC came out. Yeah.
No, it was something else. There was something else. I can't think of what it is at the moment. but because they knew Diamond Flash, they said they were going to just leave it in the game, and then it wouldn't work in TBC. But there was something else that was really wrong for ever, and I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, it's definitely happened way more than we.
It's happened a lot.
Thought it would. Yeah, it's like private servers did better with some of this stuff, man. It's kind of
most of it.
Most of it.
All right. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know, guys. Just hearing this on Tuesday when you go into raid this week. Yeah. Right into us. Leave a comment on YouTube. Send us a voicemail. Find out. Let us know how it went for you, because I'm pretty interested, and I'm glad I'm tanking Saturday and Sunday raid, because I get to see how it goes in our weekday raid first before I have to do it. So, well. Let's move on to
Bobby, we need to have a talk about this World of Warcraft Classic. Do I look like I know what a WoW token is?
All right. So in this week's discussion, we got a couple of voicemails.
Is he muted? I can't hear anything. Or is it my end?
Am I? Oh, I am.
Yeah.
How did that? Okay. Yeah, I muted Discord on accident. That was weird. All right. So in this week's discussion, we have two voicemails, and they both kind of hit on the same thing. The second voicemail hits on Kata, so we'll table that till the very end, but I'm going to play the first one now.
Hey, Bob. My name's Renkek. I play on Faralina. Anyway, I watch your show all the time while I'm driving back and forth to take my kids to school and whatnot, and I love the show. And I was listening to your Psalm 2 podcast the other day and just talking about it and thinking about it. And, I'm really excited about Psalm 2, obviously, or fresh vanilla, fresh launch servers. But anyway, I was kind of having thoughts about the Psalm 2 and, kind of changes, just more of a talking point than a question. But, I feel like, they could make some changes and take away some of the conveniences that would make it more fun, like getting rid of the auction house and gold trading. I think that's why people like hardcore. You can't trade gold, you can't buy gold. Force people to grind gold. Make things less convenient. Make spec changes have a cooldown, or no open world flying if they end up going TBC Psalm 2, or stuff like that. It's just seeing if you had any thoughts about making things less convenient, making that the way forward, making it more like I think that's why people like vanilla and classic and stuff like that, is because it's so inconvenient. You have to go out and get your world buffs. You have to grind for gold. You have to do all these really horrible, inconvenient things to be full bis, and it gives you the sense of accomplishment. We're in Wrath. You hit level 80, you hit the auction house, you buy some gold for $10. You go to a GDKP, and within a couple of hours, you're ready to raid at max level. Full. It's not fun anymore. So anyway, that's just my thoughts. I'm not really enjoying Wrath anymore, and I'd like things to be more like vanilla, but I guess I'm in the minority. But just a talking point more than a question. I love your show. Thanks.
Okay, first of all, I need to bring up something, because I've been off the show 2 weeks and I just get left out of voicemails now. And now they're just to Bob. No more Bob and Mel, no more Bell and Bob. Come on, guys. haven't been gone that long.
Mel, I wouldn't worry about it because I'm assuming that was Bob that actually put a voice on and recorded that just to try and give me an aneurysm live.
I was watching you during it, and I was like, Scotty hates the inconvenient stuff.
He's like,
yeah.
I heard no auction house. I looked at Scotty. I'm like, oh god, I don't know.
I just heard make things less convenient, and I was going to walk off. Like, well, I'm out.
Dude,
I
want to say though,
enjoyed less convenience.
I think there are some people, but I think you shouldn't force that on everyone, right? I think you should have a hardcore option for people to do, right? So like people can log into SOM2 and they say, okay, if you want to do hardcore, you're locked out of personal trades, you're locked out of auction house, but you can't force that on everybody. You know what I mean? You just can't.
Yeah.
Well, you also
Making
don't really
gold is
have to grind because you can't buy from the auction house. So what are you grinding money for in hardcore?
Well, he was saying
making gold is part of some people's enjoyment of the game. You know, making gold through the auction house and playing the economy and
right.
That'd be a weird thing to remove, in my opinion.
Well, and he said, I have to, thank you for the voicemail, but I have to disagree because I made my second rogue, went right to the auction house, bought 4 pieces of epic gear, went right into 10-man, got like 4,500 gear score night 1, and it felt awesome. It felt awesome. I had a great.
Where he's coming from, though. I do. I understand.
I get the thought. I do.
Yeah. I think the main thing, like, he's really looking forward to, like, it sounds like classic again, like classic SOM if they came out with it, right? I think there has definitely been a huge, huge, but there's a lot of people playing on white main right now. There's a little bit of a resurgence right now for that classic feel. A lot of people are playing hardcore, a lot of myself included. And I think that there is a very popular private server out there that is also influencing some talk about, maybe them doing like an SOM that is kind of like a classic plus, right? Where they would have some kind of horizontal progression, potentially fix some of the classes. And I think they could do something like that and also offer a hardcore option for people too, right? So in my mind, like something that I would like to see in SOM2 is with SOM, I think the more experimentation, the better, right? Because like it's a seasonal thing. It's not something that we're going to see all the time. As long as classic is
it there, seasonal though? It was supposed to be seasonal.
It's supposed to be, right? But like no one's going to be playing the original Season of Mastery anymore, right? Especially if another one, So but I think they should also roll out fresh classic realms as well. I think they need to have somewhere for people to go who want to just play classic and not just make a classic era. Like every once in a while when a Season of Mastery rolls out, roll out like 1 or 2 classic era as well. But with a Season of Mastery potentially coming out, with that one private server doing things that are, I don't want to put a name out there because, you don't want to promote it or whatever, but there's a lot of people who are looking into, hey, could they make elemental shamans able to raid? Could they make shadow priests able to raid? Could they do, even something like Scarlet Monastery raid? Like I love the idea of doing like lower level 10-mans, like where there's a Scarlet Monastery a raid or something like that for 10-mans, adding more quests into the game, adding some more items into the game. I think there's so much they could do with this. And I'm on the side whereas like, do a little bit of experimentation, see where things go. And, like if we have another version of classic that's launching with SOM, then people can't complain and say it's too much not like classic because there's a classic out there to play, right? So if you do I feel like
it's splitting a smaller player base though.
Yeah,
but there's people playing on classic era right now, and there's people playing Wrath, and there's people
classic
playing
era is kind of coming back, like even outside of hardcore, but like I don't enjoy leveling.
Unpopular, really unpopular. Sorry, Bob.
Go ahead.
Everybody who loves hardcore is going to hate me, but it is what it is. You've got I completely agree with what you were saying, as in launch fresh classic servers, as in classic era. So, not necessarily seasonal, but when you launch a SOM, this is exactly what I was saying literally 2 nights ago on Discord. You put SOM Season 2 out, which is going to be a bit wackier, make certain classes viable that are not normally viable, Like for me personally, I say I hate vanilla, but I hate how it is. You know, I could think of I would not log on a classic era server and start a character,
Right.
but I would play. I like vanilla in terms of going back to basics and it being Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor and all of that side of things. But it would need changes, as in all classes being viable.
I need
being a
Wrath
little
talents.
bit quicker.
I need Wrath talents, dude.
Tuning raids to be 10 and 25 man, so it's more in line with everything else. All of that. But that Season of Mastery for me, that's where it should be. I don't think they should be catering Season of Mastery towards the hardcore community. Like the hardcore community,
it should be a different thing.
era, which is more or less exactly what you want. With the ability to turn off trading, turn off the auction house, all of those things were a part of the classic era, sort of classic hardcore rule set. But I don't think a Season of Mastery it shouldn't just be, this is Season of Mastery 2, it's for the hardcore players. Because even though there's a lot of people that play it, ultimately what you do as a hardcore player, you don't need changes.
Yeah,
I actually agree with you.
I just need the change
Scotty.
for hardcore. I just need the change of actual hardcore servers. Like
that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Because then griefing would become fun, right? Like griefing would, I would respect griefers more and think it's, actually a fun thing to watch because they have a chance to die too now.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Like griefing wouldn't be the problem that it is right now. It would be other people who have that chance to die. I actually agree everything what you said, Scotty. I think that if they were to do a hardcore realm or like even a hardcore option, it should be for that classic era and not for the SOM, because I like I said, I think that SOM should be something exactly like you said, where it's more classes are viable, there's more content, but in that Eastern Kingdoms Kalimdor state where the world feels great. I think that would probably be more popular than, even potentially Wrath of the Lich King is right now.
I'd play it. I've said all along, I would play a Season of Mastery where I could actually go on there and play a Feral Druid without farming MCPs. It's a viable DPS class to play. All the time. All of the classes are fairly balanced, even if they've done ongoing balances, through the tiers, where some tier, and maybe even look at the tier sets and add certain things to the tier sets that make the classes that little bit better in future expansions. On the basis it's only a season and it's not going to progress any further, you could use the 2-set tier 8 bonus from Wrath for Druids. You could use 4-set Holy, and all of that. They could really experiment. I mean, there's so it's not going to be balanced, but absolutely.
It's not. But the thing is, too, is like the Season of Mastery, the last one that came out, I feel like they actually didn't experiment enough with. I feel like they did way too little, and it ended up being just like a shadow of what Classic felt like, right? For a lot of people. With the new Season of Mastery, they have the option now. I mean, they see there are private servers out there that are doing something similar, and they're even just doing a little bit of it, and it's already crazy popular. So if they were to do, even potentially keep all the raids and instances the way they are, the ones that are already in there, right? Keep them in there, and then add more on top of that. Like I said, you could add more. I think there should be more dungeons along the way to get to level 60. I think once you get to level 60, there should be like a horizontal progression raid where, like you said, there could be new set bonuses. There could be things that you add to your gear. You don't potentially have to add, a whole new level of gear, because that would, cause a lot of issues going from MC gear all the way to post-Nax gear. That would make it kind of messy. But you could do some kind of horizontal progression where you could do 2 or 3 extra raids in that world. Have more leveling zones. You could make like goblins a playable class, or you can make paladins on both sides, or make paladins able to tank and make enhancement shamans able to tank too, or something like that. I mean, the options are limitless, right? And I think they should be talking to people right now about what are some of the things you guys would like to see in the Season of Mastery Classic Plus kind of thing, instead of, just saying, hey, we're thinking about doing a Season of Mastery 2, and like you guys will get it, and hopefully it'll be something that you like. You know what I mean?
Well, and what's
what you
interesting,
said right at the start. Go on.
I was just going to say something real quick, and then you can go right onto it. What's interesting is we did think SOM was going to be quite a bit different, because they tried to make the fights, like the changes they made to the fights in like Molten Core. They specifically tried to make things melee unfriendly. And then the big one is they took away the cap, the debuff cap. So we all thought to ourselves, well, I wonder what Warlocks will look like now if they could use all of their kit. You know, I wonder what, you know, this will look like now. I wonder what that'll look like now. Yeah. And it didn't look near as different as as a lot of us thought it might. You know, it like stayed the same. Warriors on top, So it wasn't enough. But at the time, I remember thinking this could be really neat. We might see some really cool changes, but it just didn't actually do as much as we'd kind of thought, you know?
Yeah.
So what Defcamp said with your opening statement a second ago literally was exactly how I felt at the build up to SOM. You know, they didn't go far enough. They, started experimenting and didn't go far enough. So I think it was TBC was out at the time, wasn't it? And I'm not like, again, Wrath is sort of where WoW starts for me personally. You know, when I really enjoy all the raids, all the classes, everything. I love Cata, Mop. Yeah, not so much Warlords of Draenor. Not to say I wouldn't play it, but, Wrath is where the game starts. I was mega excited thinking, well, actually, maybe it can start at vanilla for me with Season of Mastery, because it looks like they're listening. You know, they've put in Soul of Iron, which is really cool. It's an option. It's something to do on an alt. Even if it weren't the main thing that you was playing for, you'd do an alt and try and do Soul of Iron just for fun. They was adding extra.
Although hardcore, I really think that needs to stay to its own server, because when SOM first came out, I played hardcore because I just wasn't really into TBC as much. Like, I was just raid logging. Like, now I'm not playing hardcore because I'm like, I need as much wrath as I can before it's over, right? But the big problem was a bunch of people tried to play on the hardcore server, and there was hate for days because we can't group for group quests. And so these normal players would be super pissed at us, and it was super toxic for like a good amount of time until finally, basically the normal players just kind of gave up and left that server and went to a different one. But like, they probably didn't even know that was the hardcore server. You know what I mean? And so it was just like, keeping them separate is kind of good just because of the hardcore rule set. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. But I mean, having Soul of Iron, I still see it as a positive thing. There's no reason it don't affect anyone really. If you want to give it a go, give it a go.
Soul of Iron it's the hardcore rule set that was the problem there.
So, but they started doing these things, and I was pumping videos out, and I was genuine. It wasn't just like I was making videos sounding excited just to get views or just to, it was nothing to do with that. I genuinely was really excited. And then they announced the release date, and I was like, what? How can you announce a release date? You ain't finished it yet. And then that was it. It was as if someone said, all right, well, come on, get it out the door now. You've had 2 weeks. And it fell flat for me, because I was like, I was even saying in videos, next week, they'll start talking about class tuning. They'll start talking about, maybe changing talents a little bit to make different classes viable, and none of that came. And then I didn't play it. So I was like, well, it's vanilla essentially, and you can just level a little bit faster. That's all it was.
Yeah, it really fell short for a lot of people. And like, the main thing, Bob, to answer what you were saying too, the main thing that they have to do here is, if they release an SOM, right, experiment the fuck out of it, and release a classic era with it as well, that people could play as well with a hardcore server. So that'll be a separate thing, right? Classic era, a hardcore server released either before it or after. It doesn't have to release the same time, but around, let that be a thing where there's a classic era that restarts, and make a hardcore option for it. Then have the Season of Mastery, right, as a completely different thing that is like a classic plus, right? Experiment the crap out of it and do it that way, so that there are 2 separate things. One where the hardcore people can play in the classic era, and another one where, and that's the other thing too, is they need to really think outside the box with this, and like look at what these other private servers are doing and expand upon that, because people are playing it, people like it, people want to be able to play in the old world and be able to play a rec paladin and raid, and be able to play a prop paladin and be able to tank in these raids and stuff like that. So like, I think there's totally enough people to be able to do both. And like I said earlier, I think there would be even more people potentially that are playing Wrath right now that would like love a classic plus, a real classic plus SOM.
I also
I think that there is well, sorry.
You go
I
ahead.
think that there is so much to be said that they split their focus in too many ways, right? They were like trying to make it appealing to every single person, and by that they literally made it appealing to almost nobody, right? They
story
tried too
of
hard to
retail.
like, they tried too hard to keep it like classic-esque because so many people wanted, classic and pure classic, and they changed little things to help that. Then they tried to add the Soul of Iron up to help the hardcore community. They wanted something like that, right? And then they tried to make some changes with, different like leveling faster and things like that to maybe get the people who were not super interested but kind of liked it to come back and try it, right? And they just split their focus too much that it didn't work for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I think they should have those separate things, right? Because like if they make a fresh classic era server, then they can't complain about what they're doing to classic plus SOM, right? Because it's a totally different game.
Yeah, like don't play it if you don't want to play it.
Yeah,
and I always talk about classic as in like obviously it's very easy, and this is going to sound extremely selfish, but it's very very easy for me to make content, which ultimately makes money. It's super simple. I go on a private server and then play every single character, get them all to the max level, whatever it is, raid. I can go and get all of the content that I need before the game even launches. And that's what I've done, literally since before TBC. But that's not fun content. It's not fun for me to make, really. I enjoy some of it because, especially like the Cata stuff, I've been enjoying playing Cata because it's probably the private servers that I've played the least. So I'm going, oh shit, yeah, that I forgot about that. So I like that learning, but there's no exploratory content that you can do outside of this thing's really bugged and you can do this with it, like all that weird stuff that gets bug fixed every week. Yeah. So having like Season of Mastery where they're fucked about with all the classes, and now it's like, what one is best? What is the best rotation for this class? What is, and learning again rather than it being like, this class is the best in when top comes out. This is the best when ICC comes out. This is the best in pre-patch, for Cata, because we already know most of it. You get the odd little thing that gets found, like dual wield DKs, unholy. You get those little things that are found, but ultimately not like. It's not massively different, is it? They're just little minor discoveries along the way.
I was even thinking of like, since Paladins are Alliance only in Classic, they could make an enhancement shaman tanking tree that's something kind of like how a druid has, you can either go cat or you can go bear. Or a shaman could like turn on something, they get 200% more armor from all sources, they do more threat, chain lightning hits more targets but does less damage, and it's an instant cast, and then boom, right there you have another tank spec. You know what I mean? Like something like that. I mean, like explore with the classes, make them all viable, try to make them as balanced as you can, and then like you said, you have that excitement of figuring this all out for the first time, but being in a world that's familiar and fun to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I mean, imagine Shaman was like a bit of a range tank. It can obviously like on melee fights. It would be in melee, but if it was a caster boss or something, you could literally range tank stuff like that. It'd be fun.
And for me, like the Wrath talent system is kind of needed. Like, luckily for Classic, for me, I hadn't played since Cata, right? And so I had forgotten all like how much I loved Wrath talents, like, and Cata talents, like I'd forgotten that I loved those rotations, right? And so that, and I also played a warrior, which I'd never done in original vanilla, so it worked out for me. But like now thinking about going back, like I need the talents is something I kind of need if I want to play it. But on top of that, I kind of want 6-month seasons. Double gear from, maybe even triple gear from raid bosses. Like I want to do them often, and then I won't care as much about the gear. I won't care that my character's gone afterwards. Like a year still kind of feels too long for me. Am I crazy on that?
I also feel like 6 months gives them the opportunity to make some crazy changes that maybe don't land well.
Every season, yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, in 6 months we'll get another one, right? Like But I feel like they're so nervous to make the wrong change right now because it's a year. Like it's a year of, that they're going to lose if nobody wants to play it with that change in it,
I think it depends on what they're going to go for, right? If they're going to go for something big, that's going to be a huge change, maybe a little bit longer. But if they're going to go for something smaller, then to do, more of like a 6-month thing, like you said, I think it depends on how long-term or how big of a plan they decide to do. Like if they decide to redo all of Classic and have not redo all of it, but to, make a lot of significant changes, then maybe a little bit longer, maybe something that's closer to a year. I don't know. But I think it definitely depends on what they actually do. If they do something that's, and I think it's better for them to experiment now to maybe make some smaller changes, not smaller, but make some big changes and then make it a 6-month thing. If it works, then they can expand upon that the next time, right? So I always thought of Season of Mastery for them to be an experiment, for them to try things, see where it goes. If it doesn't work out, try something, better the next time. If it does work out, do something else, right? And stay with that.
And to his original voicemail, I really feel like the majority of people that want that long grind and stuff are in the hardcore community, and that's where they're getting their fix. Like, I think like a lot of us would love to just play it and play it fast, hard and fast, like Brand Against Law and Brand Against Love, hard and fast. Like that's what I think.
I agree with what you said about talents as well. I mean, if you was to think about, Classic 2019 when it launched, massive success. There was queues on numerous servers. It was booming. Everyone was loving it. And it's slowly tapered off. Even to the point, when you look at now, Wrath is meant to be the most popular expansion of all time. Technically it was the first couple of weeks of Cata that was, but still, a lot of people, you was probably expecting these servers to be booming all the time. But we're in a raid log world now anyway. No one really commits as much time to just sitting there and doing anything because we know everything. There, what am I going to do? Other than raid, I'm not going to go wandering around in Ice Crown to try and find some secret cave that no one's found before.
Yeah,
but I just that is mess what we used to do. Yeah, you'd go and do other things, wouldn't you? But
I do mess around with achievements, but like the majority of people don't. Like I'd rather be raiding. Like it's something. But I've said it time and time again. I think raid logging's healthy. I think that keeps you invested in the game. Every time I ever quit back in the day, so I always would quit at some point through most expansions. Except for vanilla, but like I would quit because I was burnt out, man. I was raiding 5 days a week and like I was just burnt out. Like where with raid logging, I think,
it might be healthy, but it's not fun.
Yeah. Well, you can take breaks and be okay with it at times. Whereas back in the day you couldn't, and so I think it's a good thing when everybody else
I like
thinks it's
things
a bad
to
thing.
do though. That's the thing. I like things to do, as in, like, I am always very, like, my paladin, that's what I do everything on. I raid on NA, I raid on my druid, all that. But, I'd love more reason to be online on the paladin doing stuff. And as stupid as it sounds, like, just having random dungeon finder, that sort of thing would get me to do more. I can't be.
I would level a bunch more characters. I would level a bunch more characters if we had random dungeon finder, because I'd love to just easily jump in those older groups.
Dude, yeah, I logged on to Wrath and the first thing I looked for was that fucking dungeon finder. When I logged on for the first time, I'm like, fuck, that's right, they didn't do it. And I was like, oh, maybe they shouldn't do it, maybe they should. And I was like on the fence about it. And now the first time I played, I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude. I really want that dungeon finder in the game, like really
exactly.
Especially, and I mean, we still have it pretty easy on Benediction or Farolina. Like, I mean, I can find dungeons, but like, I don't like. I just don't. I just want to click a thing and
I'm new to the
go
game
to
now.
it. And if I'm leveling, if I'm leveling, I want to just do quests and just be pulled in when I'm done and been put right back. Like that's what I want. And I want it in Season of Mastery too. Everybody's going to shoot me now. Yeah, everybody's going to shoot me.
Everyone I speak to now, even people who said they didn't want it, and now they're like, actually, I wouldn't mind it being in the game. I've not spoken to anyone who's gone, I don't want it. Like, please leave it out of the game. There's lots of those people in YouTube comments, funny enough, but there's not that many people that I've actually spoken to. But none. No one has ever said to me, on Discord, no, we don't want random dungeon finder. But hang on,
I do want you to have to walk into the dungeon once, though. Because I don't know where any of the Cataclysm dungeons are because of random dungeon finder.
But what you were saying about talents, I lost my train of thought because we started talking about something else. Imagine like Season of Mastery, and you've got your Wrath talents. You want your Wrath talents, so you've got the full tree to level 85. But for the first 20 levels, you get 2 points a level instead of 1. And so you'd be level 60 with all of the talents that you would have at level 85. So you'd have all of those abilities that are not normally in vanilla. 80, you might need to look at what. No, 60. As in, you still only go to 60.
No, but 80 though. You're talking cata talents.
No. As in, you'd be level 60 in Season of Mastery 2 because that's the cap, but you'd have the level 80 talents from
level 80. Yeah, you said 85, so I was confused.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my bad.
You've been playing cata.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, level 80 talents. And yeah, you just get like an extra talent point for the first 20 levels or something like that. So you do end up being able to fill the tree out, and then look at what would have been learned between 60 and 80 and go, oh, Divine Plea, we'll give that to Paladins. Look at what abilities that you would pull in and just go, oh, you'll get that at level 48 now instead of 75. You'll get that at, so you could have a really a good toolkit. And I think that would be enough to make every class viable. Bit of tuning here and there on coefficients.
I'd be even down with them just like not giving you the full points and just seeing what that looks like. If you want Blade Fury, you got to do all 51 talents in, the combat tree. Or not Blade Fury, Killing Spree. But just like, that could be interesting to see what kind of hybrid stuff would come out. And
that as well.
Because if you make them exactly Wrath talents, then that takes out the fun of the new min maxers figuring out, the best talents, which I think could be a cool thing too. I mean, I'm cool with either, really. They
can use the Wrath ones as a template, and I think they should maybe change them a little bit, but use it kind of as a template, because I would like to see, like I said, like maybe an enhancement shaman tank or something a little bit different. But I think you nailed it, Scotty, when you said like you want something to explore, right? I want to be able to log into a game in the world that I love, in the classic era, and but still have things to explore. To go see Karazhan Crypts, to go see Old Ironforge, make Old Ironforge a dungeon, or make it an explorable place. To go see, Hyjal as an explorable zone, or Loch Modan, or I'm sorry, Gundrak, or whatever what was the place near Loch Modan that they did the raid in Kata, Grim Batol, right? To make like that whole area explorable. So like, I want to be able to log into a place. Yeah, Ashara, make Ashara more accessible. Make all these zones that,
or even Oldham,
or the islands, all those islands that are on the shore, in on the ocean that are like just there, or Oldham. Make it explorable, and I want to go into a world where it seems familiar a little bit, but there's so much more to do. There's more quests. There's more to more horizontal progression. There's more to each class. And make it so where like the classes still feel somewhat of like, you want it to still feel like a warrior, obviously, and but you want them to feel a little bit different. You want to have things that you normally didn't do. You don't want to. Who wants to go in a raid with 30 warriors and like and like 8 8 resto shamans and like what I mean? Like, who wants to do that? Like, I don't want to do that, dude. And like,
some private server people really love doing that.
I mean, yeah, but like I said, you could still do that on classic era, right?
Yep.
If they have that as an option. I think they need to hire some people or get some people in there to give them ideas like this. Use the community. The community loves it. Like, think tank and think about things like this. Use the community. Use the people that are here that want to talk about it. And I mean, like, I feel like we're not just a small minority. I feel like a lot of people would love to see a Classic Plus. I think that obviously they like to put that energy towards a new expansion, like what they did with Dragonflight. But, this could be something completely different, and they would roll in the dollars, dude. People would love this.
Well, and the reason I like seasonal ideas and like 6-month things and stuff is because, like, guys, Blizzard, I'm never coming back to retail. And the biggest reason, no matter what you change, the game is still bloated. It is bloated with hundreds, if not thousands of mounts. And just, it's overwhelming. And like, I'd rather just be like, I want us like it to be seasonal and then a leaderboard tracker that you can keep looking at what you did season 1, season 2, season 3. Like, you know, Wiki talked about it, you know, like you wouldn't get all your bits and stuff, but you'd be like, dude, remember that one season 5, dude? Oh my God, I just had the luck of the gods that time, you know, and like, and it wouldn't feel as bad to not get, you know, bits and different things if it was going faster, you know, it would. And at this point, we all know it, you know, we're just redoing it, you know, but like changes to bosses and stuff, I think are cool, but like really just the fundamental way the game plays, like with talents, like we were talking about, is where I feel I need something more, unless it's hardcore. And hardcore, I really love how hard it is, how the items suck, and how like you miss 1,000 times, you know, like.
But that's why, like, why do so many people love hardcore? Because it's in the world that they love, but they're playing the game a little bit differently than they used to, right? They're playing the game in a way where every item matters, where every blue matters, where every green matters.
There's different strats too. You know, like you're not doing it, you're not min-maxing the way that you do typically. You're, you know, not going to do certain quests because there's a high potential you might die, right? You're taking a different strategy that might take you longer because you want to survive rather than. And I don't think it's about taking you longer. Like, I don't think that's where I love that it takes longer, right? I
did love that we got, I did love that, you know, at level, well, it was a little late for us, but at level like 53 or whatever, they brought out Joyous Journeys, and I was like, Otis.
Oh, yeah.
Although my other character hit it before that.
They've done so much content as well over the years that they ain't really got to do much new. They've just got to pull things back from future expansions. You know, like in a season of Mastery, who would say, I know, again, might be unpopular, but it'd be something else for me to do on my main. Why not have pet battles? You can collect pets in vanilla.
Pet battles. I never got to do pet battles. I want to do pet battles so bad.
Archaeology as a profession. You can get mounts and pets and stuff. Why not have archaeology in? It's not like, you know, the things that are just like extra little bits where who's going to go, no, I don't want archaeology in the game. It's overpowered. It's like, no, it just doesn't matter. It's just extra content for people to consume. You could go a step further and have, and this will be a mega unpopular one, but I actually really liked the system. Garrisons. You know, when you get to level 60, you can unlock your own garrison where you, even if it's just got a bank and whatever else, you know, that you choose to be there, but your own little home that you can go to. I always
didn't
liked
everybody
the idea
just always
garrisons.
hang out in their own garrison and stuff?
Yeah. It would have to be like I'd like personally, I'd love guild garrisons. You know, that would be
great.
Guild garrisons would be cool.
Yeah, so you
place for guild to hang out, dude. That'd be awesome. Yeah,
like that for me would be amazing. Rather than individual ones, a guild garrison would probably be my number one choice. But then that's never been done.
See,
you know, so I'm thinking about things that they could just bring forward.
Well, they just didn't make Azeroth in a way that they could do player housing, because player housing in Ultima Online was really cool because there was a lot of just open plains that had monsters and mobs roaming through them. It was just open areas that you just had to travel through to get to the towns and the dungeons and stuff. And like, that's where all the houses were. And then if you had a house that was placed next to a certain city, like, you know, you'd have like crazy, like the real estate on that, how much you could sell it for and stuff was just out of this world. And then you could also rob people's houses, and you could wait outside hidden and then try and come in and jack them, you know. And like there was all kinds of fun stuff, but it was all about the, just like real life, the location of your house. Like everybody could, you know, they did run out of space in a lot of places, but everybody could pretty much have a house. But not everybody could have a house right next to Trinsic, or right next to Britain, or right next to you know, on the island of Julum. Like these were like sacred things, and it was really cool. You did have to log in at
Galaxies
least.
Was the same.
Yes.
Star Wars Galaxies, you'd have full player cities, you'd vote your mayor in, you could have it as a different type, you know, an industrial or an economical, or like you could, you know, you'd get different bonuses in the city that your mayor chose it to be. And again, you know, if you was right outside Theed and you had a really, like, you've got more chance then of putting a vendor in it and selling stuff, because people have only got to go from the cantina outside Theed 800 yards and they're in your shop.
Yep.
You know, like I'm a massive fan of player housing.
Yeah, it's just the map doesn't work though. Yeah, the map.
I'd even settle for instance houses, quite honestly. You know, that like in Stormwind, imagine all the empty buildings and they've got instance portals on, and you walk into it and you end up, that's your house in Stormwind, because that then wouldn't kill the cities either, would it? Everyone will be running around Stormwind still. You know, occasionally you're going to go in your own little instanced area where you can store your gear rather than storing it in a bank. I've always been a fan of that. The fact that you could then display your full tier 1 in your house, you know, and yeah.
Kind of like Skyrim houses where you could put your armor up on different things and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
I mean, that's never going to happen, but you know, that is, I'd like that.
That'd be cool.
It's like, why though? Like, why won't they ever do? Like, we've been talking about this for what, maybe a half hour, and we already thought of like so many cool ideas for like a Classic Plus, and it just come down to them not wanting to do the work. Does it come down to them? Like, I don't understand like why they haven't done, you know, I mean, or you know, hopefully they will do something like this, but like,
I mean, honestly, what it comes down to is profit, right? So when you think of it, how much money are they going to put in to developing different things, and how much extra player base is it going to get them? Because right now there's a lot of people bitching, but there's still a lot of people playing.
Yeah, that is true.
If the benefit for them is not going to bring in additional revenue, then there's no point in them spending the money to build it if it's not going to pay for itself and more ideally profit from it, right?
You would think that it would be profitable though, on the basis that, you know, like 3 people working out of their mum's basement on these private servers create new content. Seriously. And it's free to play on that server, yet they still make enough money to keep the servers running. And I'd imagine they're making big buck from, you know, the shops that they have where you can donate and stuff. You know, if a very small team can add content to vanilla, why is Blizzard not doing it?
It's a good question.
Pull it from other expansions and bring it into that classic realm, and then make some minor adjustments to them, right? It doesn't sound like it's that much work if they do it like that.
Or just straight up steal it from private servers.
I think like there's nice to haves, like having a house in Stormwind is a nice to have, right? Yeah. It's not like you add houses to Stormwind and that's all you do. Nobody's going to come back and play just to have a house in Stormwind, right? Maybe for like a week. But like that's not the main goal. I think they need to make content that people actually want to consume, and they need to make content that is going to take people from these private servers and bring them back into the Blizzard game, because that's what they're losing their profit on, right? Is the people that have gone to private servers and are no longer paying a Blizzard subscription. I even think that they could make a Classic Plus if they put enough money into it. They could make a Classic Plus and we'd all buy it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you could make the seasons like a battle pass type of system too.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot
as long as they do well.
Here, let me play this other voicemail because Defcamp knows him. Mega Man left 4 voicemails and finally got the last one right.
Oh no, Mega.
Nice.
Hey Bob, Mel, Defcamp, and Scotty.
Thank you.
Mega Casual here. I've got 3 questions for you, and I'm going to make them fast. 1, what do you think of the idea of Classic Era going free to play? Interesting thought. And the other 2, well, maybe 2 and 1, are about Classic Plus and Cataclysm. Cataclysm, or Cataclysm as a whole, rather, I think it's way too much hate, especially after time traveling, shall we say, and replaying it. Shout out to ScotteJaye. Anyway, Classic Plus feels a little bit more difficult, though, because no matter what you do, someone's going to get mad, and everybody thinks that their version of Classic Plus is the best. So I guess the question is, like, to ask you 3, or 4, rather, what would your version of Classic Plus be, aside from the usual add more dungeons and raids and cough class balances, but what does that actually mean to you? Secondly, about Cataclysm, what changes would you like to see? For me, 1, I would like them to make it so you can do whatever you want with all your 41 points. Secondly, I would like them to make sure tier 11 is balanced because I don't care what anyone says. That's the reason why Kata was such a flop, because when you copy and paste 25 men right into 10 and have bosses so bugged out where you physically could not kill them unless you were glitching them out. Look it up, true story. I do also think that a big reason why people hated Kata so much, it was a Growing Pains expansion. Everyone did it at the end of Wrath, including myself. I'll put myself in that category, whereas like warriors had across the keyboard and heroics were ridiculously easy. So what did Blizzard do? Well, they buffed them a ton. So I guess my point is, I don't think Kata deserves the hate it gets, because I think players will handle it fine. And Dragon Soul, I don't know what they could do with that raid. They need to do something. I don't know what, because on paper that raid does sound really cool. In practice, it was just bad. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great show. Maybe on the chat, maybe I'm not. Anyway.
All right, so before we hit on the Kata stuff, anything else you want to throw in there for the Classic Plus? Because we kind of hit on some of the stuff he said.
Yeah, I think I said everything I wanted. I mean, it's just basically like he said. It's right. There's going to be a lot of different versions of what people think. I think Blizzard needs to do some polls and do some work and try to figure out what are the most popular and what things people would like to see the most.
Honestly, I think they need to just stop dragging their feet, and they need to get a team together to decide for everybody. I think polls are great, but polls, you're getting this opinion, you're getting pulled in a lot of different directions from a lot of different people. And at some point, they're just going to have to say, like, we've hired the right people to, connect with the community and to build something that is going to be amazing. And we have to stop listening to every Joe Schmo that comes in and says they want X, Y, and Z, right? And I don't know. That's just my opinion.
I guess
probably unpopular.
I'll say one last thing. I heard it on Mere Casuals podcast. Shout out to Mere Casuals. If you guys haven't checked that out, you should. They're pretty funny. But they were talking about a private server that like gear wasn't soulbound. So when you upgraded a piece of gear, you could give or sell your old piece to somebody else. I thought that was an interesting thing. Just like, I mean, there's tons of things we could do. We could have a PvP server where if you die, they pick all your gear up. Like, we literally in Ultima Online never used the best gear because we were like using gear that we could drop, and then they'd have to tweak the gear for that to work because the gear's so much better than like the best gear in Ultima Online. But just like those types of things could be kind of neat. Just throwing off the cuff ideas, but
the last one I'd add to Classic Plus, but I would actually add it now, as in right now, into probably even Classic era, if I was honest, is the Kata guild panel. And I like guild leveling as well. I like being able to level as a guild.
And
but
the quest finder or the quest
helper, like in-game.
Yeah, the in-game quest helper. Where the hell's that?
Yeah, but I really like the guild panel in Kata, where you've got, you can see it like you normally do in Wrath, where you can see player status, where they are, what level they are, all that. But then you can change it to professions, so you can see what everyone can craft.
Yes.
You can change it to guild activity, so you can see who's the most active. Sort it by achievements and see who's got the most achievements. I like that, but I like it because you can go, right, I need, I don't know, a pair of boots crafting from Ulduar, and then you can just look at who can make it in the guild and done. I really like the guild panel, and it's got news. I love the news feed in Kata, where you can see who's recently obtained epics, who's recently leveled, who, so you log on and let's say he was off for a couple of days, but you can go, oh, he's dinged 80. Oh my God, he got Valinir. Oh, you got, it's good to then use it as a bit of a catch up on what you've missed.
Was Kata when they had the guild calendar as well?
Guild calendar's up now.
And stuff.
It's in
That's
Wrath,
up now.
Yeah.
Just nobody uses it because we have Discord is so much better than it, unfortunately.
Right.
Yeah.
But to the thing where he said about making Classic era free, I just don't think if Blizzard thought that they could make them money, but I just don't see that making them. Like, I guess the idea would it bring more people to play Classic, and then they would want to pay for classic Wrath of Lich King. I don't think so. I think they would just do whatever makes more money for them.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense in the classic era. It would make sense for retail to go free to play because they have a ton of different other revenue options and mounts and everything else, toys and all kinds of crap, right? Like classic, like I don't know, like I mean, I guess you'd probably make some money off of like boosts and stuff, but they still only allow like one boost, right? So like so
it would scare me. It'd scare if they turn around tomorrow and said we're making classic free to play. It would genuinely scare me because I'd be like, what? So where are they going to monetize it? What are they going to add? Are they going to add a battle? All of these games that go free to play end up being so heavily monetized that it's in your face. It's like, oh, you can't get a mount that goes 100% unless you subscribe. You can't get it. It then starts limiting the experience. I'd much rather pay. I'd rather pay a monthly subscription and just know that I'm going to get everything for that monthly subscription.
Yep. As far as Kata, I think he's kind of onto something because, I mean, I went, with my real life friends back in Canada. They came back. We were like, oh, we'll just do 10-man guild, and we'll just do that on this character. And the raids were hard compared to like how Nax started out, right? Like my real life friend guild did that too in Wrath, but after Ulduar came out, they all quit. So I figured, hey, I got my real life friends for at least the first tier again. And boy, those raids just kicked my real life friends' asses. Like, I mean, me and Mel went and joined something right after they quit, and we were completely fine. But like, you couldn't play with the friends that just didn't know the game like the back of their hand. And didn't research and didn't like. That was what was kind of fun about the start of expansions, and it kind of threw me off, like, because like, I always just
really hard in the beginning too. I'm sorry,
Kata was really hard, and 10-mans got changed to the same loot, so they actually became way harder because you had to have like specifically the right group, because it was hard, because it was given the same loot. So it was definitely kind of a shock to me for the first dungeons, the first instances, the first raids.
They were were really hard,
and the heroics were really hard too.
Yeah. I enjoyed that. I remember as a healer, I had to actually like use my mana properly again.
Yeah,
but the heroics are
dumbass DPS
challenging.
That's the thing. Dumbass DPS standing in the shit you couldn't keep alive anymore. That you used to be able to keep alive in Wrath. So I mean, you do like it, but like it did. I think there is a lot of people that were turned off and didn't keep playing, didn't play long in Cataclysm, and that could be why the drop off came so fast, so quickly. Maybe
I think it was the opposite. I think they undertuned it too much, and then people started to leave. Personally, I think a lot of people were complaining, about it being hard, but then I think they just went way too far the other side, other way, and then they made it too easy, too accessible to everyone. And to me personally, if I saw them do Kata again, I would want it to be like how it was in the beginning of Kata. The heroics being difficult, mana being an issue, like, running out of mana like in the mid-fight, be like, oh shit, like we're gonna die because people are standing and shit. I really enjoyed that about Cataclysm, and I actually stopped playing like halfway through Kata, started playing again when the Dragonflight or when the Spine of Deathwing fight came out. And then, not liking it again. But like, I specifically remember having a good time in early Kata.
I can't remember exactly the day that I quit, but I could look it up because it was literally 7 days before Star Wars: The Old Republic came out. That was when I quit. When I quit retail for good, and literally never came back. Came back for like a half a second in MOP and looked at the talents and was like,
I quit at the same time as you then, but only for 3 months. I quit when we got like but it was our whole retail guild. We went and got like server first on Well, everything in Star Wars, you know,
Dude,
Realm first 50s of every
Hut
class.
Ball was the coolest thing ever. The coolest, like, BG.
I still play it now. I still play Star Wars: The Old Republic now. Not
good.
much, but you know, a couple of times a month I log on it.
We went back and played just a little bit not too long ago, just because, like, just the stories are really fun to play through.
It's great. Yeah, it's great. It's a great single player game. It really is.
Yeah.
I think honestly, like, you also have to think like the life of people that played WoW, like original WoW, right? They were a certain age when vanilla came out, and then they grew through 3 expansions with Wrath. And whether we say it was Cata was horrible and that's why people didn't want to play, or they nerfed the dungeons, or they, you know, the dungeons were too hard, whatever it was, in all reality, it was likely just life changes for people at that moment that made certain parts of the game less enjoyable, right? Where that could have happened with Wrath. It's just people weren't at that point in their life, or as many of them weren't at that point in their life. And I truly believe that, like, I quit Cata, not because I hated Cata, because I went to grad school, right? Like, and I think a lot of people went to college, and a lot of people went to, you know, or some of their friends went and they were like, well, I'm not going to play anymore, right? Like, I think that you have to realize, like, the level of the gamers at that point was, like, a lot of us were young, you know, there wasn't a lot of dads playing Cata at that point. You know, there were some for sure, but
come to think about it, Mel, I remember why I actually quit Cata now. I do. I think it's because I was busy doing other things. But yeah, I actually had like relapsed and I was like using. But yeah, I think you're right. That is a big thing because like a lot of people, you know, I started playing WoW when I was like 16, 17. I, you know, had played, you know, towards the end of Classic, played all of TBC, pretty much all of Wrath. And then I was at that age where I was like, you know, 21, going out to parties and stuff and drinking, doing all that stuff when Cata came out. So it was like a big part of my life had shifted and video gaming just wasn't that important in my life anymore. Right. I think that was a big part of it for me too. But I think also there was some issues, but I think with those things together, I think that might have been why
there was issues in every expansion though.
There were, yeah, but
every single expansion had issues. It's like, yeah, so it's just those issues became more significant because you were also not as invested, right? And you had also been playing the same game for a lot of us for 3+ years, right? So you weren't like it was like, oh, okay, this isn't what I want to do anymore, right? Like, and you had been playing it hardcore for a lot of us. Like, if you went all through vanilla and TBC, like, you spent a lot of time with that game. And then Wrath, like, you had spent a lot of time. And so, I don't know. I think, yes, there's issues with Cata. I think there was issues with every expansion. And I think people that are so on this Cata sucked, like, mentality, I think just need to take an inner look.
So the thing is, for me, like, personally, and obviously I can't speak for everyone, but, like, you know, I'm looking forward to Ashes of Creation. You know, that genuinely, if someone was to say in 5 years, like, what content do you think is going to be on your main channel, I would say probably Ashes content. I really like the look of it. I'm invested in it. You know, I hope it does well. But I'm not ready to stop playing WoW. You know, like, I really enjoy it. Like, I still look forward to logging on every day. You know, when I'm raiding, I really enjoy it. And the thought of, well, when we kill Lich King 25 heroic, that's Wrath of the Lich King done, right? If you're then going, well, that's my stepping off point. I'm not playing Cata. What is the point of getting gear? You know, once you've killed Lich King 25 heroic, what is the point of farming it? You're not going to do anything with that gear. You've essentially completed the game if you don't intend on playing Cata. For me, I'm not ready to quit yet. So if Cata comes next, that's what I'll be playing. If it was Mop next, I'd be playing Mop. If it was WoD, I'd be playing WoD, just because I want to carry on with my Paladin that I enjoy playing. And I really don't think that the game changes that drastically throughout the next couple of expansions. Mop arguably changes it more. Well, not arguably. Mop changes the game far more than Cataclysm does. But I love Mop. I like Mop is my second favorite expansion. It would be Wrath and then Mop, but I think they're both very close.
And I think I didn't give Mop I think I didn't give Mop a proper try. I mean, I literally, the recruit a friend thing gave you a free 90 boost. I saw the talents, and then my brain, you know, like was like elitist, like, oh, not my game, right? And like I just logged out. Like I didn't even give it a chance, you know, like so like I never thought I would play Cata, but I might now. Like especially after we did, I was positive I wasn't going to play, but after you, me, and Willie and Mel did that one, do we really want Cataclysm episode, God, a year ago or something, like I was like, huh, okay, I think I might be trying it, like, you know, give it a shot. Oh wow, shout out to
think you want it,
Apricot. Thank you for the raid, Apricot.
Hey.
Cat, how you doing?
Hello.
Good to see you.
But no, from everything you've said, Bob, like in all the discussions we've had, you want Cata and you want Mop, even if you don't know you want it yet, you do, because you like rushing to max level, you like getting geared quick, you like raiding. That's ultimately why you play the game.
I think I was unfair to him, you know, and I think honestly, if we look at why WoW dropped, it might have been Star Wars Galaxies. And then the fact that other alternatives kept coming out. And then people, the longer they were away from WoW, the more, you know, I call retail bloated, the more bloated things got. And then you come back and you're overwhelmed with how much everything has changed. And it doesn't look the same to you, right? Like,
well, picture quitting now. If you was to quit now and you was to come back halfway through Cata, which you wouldn't think is that long away from now, you'd probably, you know, you've been away for ages. Everyone's doing GDKPs in raids that you haven't even progressed in. You don't know anything about. You know, everyone's flying around on mounts that you don't know. Like you'd be like, oh shit, I won't bother. You know, you need to play through it. You know, and yeah, as I say, I honestly think the vast majority of people, even the ones that are saying, oh no, Cata was rubbish, I don't want Cata, I think when they get to the end of Wrath and realize, well, that's it done. Like they'll just carry on.
Yeah, I think you're right.
For me, I feel like it's about the community. Like, if my community continues to play into Cata, I will definitely want to continue to play into Cata, right? If they don't, that's where I would start to question things, right? Like, do I want to spend enough effort and time trying to create another community, or do I want to give up, right? And I think that's just a personal choice at that point. But
yeah, I don't know. Everybody says it's going to just die. There's not everybody. There's a lot of people saying that, but the more and more we get closer to it, I'm like, I don't know if you're right, man. Like I would have said day one, you were right. Like when I started Classic, I would have said you're damn right. Now I'm just not so sure.
Classic was going to die when TBC came out.
Exactly, right. So I think it depends on if there's something else available to play. That's good. If there's a Classic Plus or an SOM, are people going to play that instead? Right? I think that's what it depends upon. But I wonder how much the world changing had an effect on people, because I know for me it did. I didn't.
Yeah, that's the one thing I don't like.
Yeah, I didn't like New Orgrimmar. I didn't like the new zones. I thought they felt kind of chimsy. I thought they felt kind of like.
Well, that's your fault for being Horde.
See,
you know,
and honestly,
yeah, true.
Like everybody's gonna hate me, but I really didn't hate that part. I was bummed I couldn't see what it used to be, but it was there was some stuff that was kind of neat. Like, you know, like I don't know. Like it was neat going and re-exploring everything, and that part I thought I'm in a different house, and like I like being able to fly. I like flying.
I like flying in the old world. It actually feels great being able to fly around all the zones that you've been running around in for so long.
And honestly,
this one looks like.
I really like the dragonflight flying. Like that part I was like, well, can I just do this all day? Like, do I even need to play the game? I can just fly around. I like those. Like you could race a friend and really race. Like, I mean, I don't know. I thought like that's the part about Dragonflight. I was like, this is pretty cool.
So the only thing for I'm in terms of the old zones changing in Cata, if I could pick anything to change, actually one of the changes would be to keep the old world as it is in Wrath. Like that is the one I would rather that change than, let's say, LFR, looking for raid. I don't like looking for raid,
I'm not a
but
fan
if
either.
I could only choose one, I would rather the old zones stayed the same and LFR was in. And that's purely because if you want to see the post-Cata zones, that's what all the zones look like still on retail. It would be nice to actually have the old zones as they are in Classic.
Would you want to
even in
fly?
Classic Cata. Yeah, flying. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'd want flying in the old zones. Well, you need it for archaeology. There's no way you're riding around. It's slow enough with flying. You ain't walking it.
Riding along my automobile.
It was.
I think we should just, you guys. I think we should just take mounts out completely. I think we should all just have to walk everywhere we go.
Oh god,
And
Remove
That's
mounts.
another thing for Season of Mastery. Mounts at 20, bro. Like, just like, dude. Metagoblin says it all the time, but like Classic until level 40 is like walking simulator, 2004.
That's why you gotta play Shaman, man. You gotta go Ghost Wolf, bro. You gotta play the Shaman class or a Druid or something that has a. Nah, I'm kidding, but yeah.
if there was no mounts in the game, think of how much popular Shaman and Druids would be.
Yeah, right.
Much more popular. Like
If there was no mounts in the game, Mel, think about how many summons I'd accept.
Oh god, dude. There would be an Uber service, and there would be like there was
100%.
There would be an Uber service for everywhere.
Actually, make the world the less traveled,
dude.
Right? Like,
remember Dark Age of Camelot when you'd have to take a horse from town to town? Like you couldn't have a horse, but you would take a horse from town to town, and you could jump off at any time. I always wished I could jump off Flight Pass.
Oh
yeah. The thing is, people are always going to complain about something. Sorry, Malcolm.
Yeah. I was just saying you can jump off the boat when you get on the boat and stuff.
Yeah.
I used to mind control people off the boat all the time. That was the best.
Yeah. But if you remember the lead up to TBC, they were like TBC Classic, people was like, no, flying ruins world PvP. No, we don't want flying. It makes the world feel dead and all that. And it's like, what? Like, who's riding around Hellfire Peninsula looking for a fight? Like who's actually doing that?
The rogues.
But not only that, like PvC was designed for like flying in mind. You know what I mean? Like there were places you just couldn't go. Like, oh well, then make a portal there. Like, no, that's stupid. Like, I don't know. I think flying in Kalimdor and the old world would be really cool to see it. But like, how do you go upon the lore of like, okay, what, like the Cataclysm just never happened?
Yeah, I know.
Like, I don't know.
I remember tweeting at North after he was on Countdown to Classic, and he was like, no flying. I think you might have even been on the episode with him when he talked about it. And I tweeted at him
or some shit. Was that right?
That was the escalator one. Yep.
And he said he wanted an escalator, and I didn't know him at this time, but it was a pretty funny interaction. He goes, "Whoa, bro. You're a fan of flying in in 2020, yikes." And I was like, well, I sent a GIF and I wrote, well, to each their own. And the GIF was one of those old people chairs that takes you down the stairs at an extremely slow rate. And it was just like slowly moving down. And I was like, do your thing, bro. Oh man, that was my first interaction with North. It was pretty funny.
He's a character, man. He's a character.
Oh yeah, I've had him on the show now. I like North a lot now. He was a little controversial in the beginning, but I think he's become like a really cool guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I want flying. Don't remove flying.
I think Cata Classic. Like, I mean, do you guys think it's gonna like be a thing though? Do you guys really? Because like,
I think it definitely is.
Saying that it's I see them doing it. I don't know.
One of my most popular episodes ever, at least on YouTube, was "Do We Want Cata Classic?" Like, so
one of my most popular episodes. Don't forget, Mel was there, I think. But
Scotty, wasn't it you who said that eventually they should make it available where like every version of the game is playable at some point?
I'd love that, and I think that'd be brilliant. So they was all staggered releases, basically. So like now you could go on a TBC server. Like, well, if that's what people like, there's people are playing TBC private servers, so there are people that like playing TBC. why not just have one TBC server that kills all TBC private servers?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Well,
the thing too,
you're
though,
not going to
like-
kill private servers without having fresh. That's why I was talking about seasons and stuff.
Oh yeah, season. Yeah, just it's a 12-month cycle. You know, like and like but for basically every expansion that there's a call in for. You know, like I would personally, and I know I've said like, oh, when you kill Lich King Heroic, where do you go from there? If they said, right, we're launching a season of Mastery and it's Mr. Pandaria, and it was around the same time as we moved on to Kata, I'd go and play MOP. You know, like, but if it was there it was offered to me, I'd go and play it, and there would be other people that would go and play it that don't want to play Kata, and then there'd be other people that don't want to play either of them, and they want to go and do hardcore on Classic era.
Right.
You don't need hundreds of Classic servers. You know, you just need like one in NA and EU that's TBC every 12 months, one that's RAF. Because I know Ernest, who's watching now, I reckon he would probably play for the next 10 years, starting over. As soon as RAF finishes, he'll start again on RAF again. And he'd probably just keep doing that repeatedly. Yeah. You know, so it would like RAF would always be busy. TBC would probably be, medium population or something, you know. And then, I'd have them all. But I do think Kata's coming 100%.
Yeah.
I think if they did that, I think they'd need to make cross-realm PvE, because what would really suck is if you get on a server and you all of a sudden are on the wrong server, whatever it might be, or just have one server. But if you have multiple servers and they, one becomes more popular, or people leave one of them or something, and then you can do cross-realm, I think that would help with some of that. I think that there's no negative to them opening up a server of each phase, or not phase, each expansion. But also when you think, if you come back, like we were saying, like if you come back after so long and you haven't been playing, the learning curve is so high that it's probably not even worth it for you, right? Even if you could just log into an expansion and go through the leveling process to understand the new, talents, the new moves and things like that, and then jump into a current server and say, okay, I'm caught up, right?
Well, I'd love what would never happen, but I think I did say in the same video where I said I'd like basically a seasonal server for each expansion, like cross server guilds. So you'll get not cross server as in we can be in the same guild, but I mean you set our guild's called Y Pink. We've got Y Pink, and then if I look in guild and I see Height, it will say Height in brackets MOP. So he's online in the guild, but he's on the MOP server. So then you can, you can jump between and go, we're looking for more for, I don't know, a gold challenge mode. And then people who are currently on TBC leveling will go, oh yeah, be right there, and then log on MOP. So it's all quite interconnected.
They have been talking about doing that on BNet forever, and going across Overwatch and Diablo and everything. They've been talking about doing that forever. They made groups, but those didn't take off at all, really.
Yeah.
If they ever stop making retail, that would be the smartest thing for them to do. Absolutely. I think it'd be smart for them to do it now. But I mean, I didn't think retail was going to go as far as it did to Dragonflight. I thought it was going to end in the last one. But if they ever do stop, that would be the smartest thing for them to do. I mean, have every version available. Have it so that you can have a guild, like you said, in each version, people can because chances are you're going to be playing more than one version at a time. You're probably like me. I would be playing, probably Classic, TBC, Wrath, MOP, Legion, hardcore. Exactly. I would love. I had a lot of fun in Legion. I had a lot of fun in MOP. I had a lot of fun. In certain other expansions, I would like to just do certain things here, maybe do some Mythic Plus over in Legion, maybe do some PvP over in MOP, maybe do some raiding over in TBC again or something like that, or hardcore over in Classic, little things like that.
But wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great? When I said about it connected, I probably didn't go far enough when I was just talking about guild. But let's say you wanted to play MOP, you can absolutely go on MOP and start on the MOP server and start level 1. But wouldn't it be great if you was doing hardcore on Classic and you got to 60, then you move that onto TBC, you get to it, and then you move that onto RAF, you move it onto MOP, but you can move it at any time. You could just literally do the leveling in TBC and then move it onto a RAF server. So essentially, you could have your one character, like your Paladin, that it's called Mel, and you are raiding on that paladin, but throughout 6-7 different expansions if you wanted to.
Love that. I would love that. That would be amazing. Yeah, so
that's my dream.
It would be a copy, so you wouldn't have to lose it in Classic. It would still be there in Classic, and also still be there in TBC or Wrath too. Yeah, that would be. I think if they did that, that would be probably people would be playing WoW for 20 years plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, they got to look at the long game here, right? Like, they want us to keep our subscriptions. They're going to have to, make it worth it for everybody, right? Like, and when there's dull times, like, there's something else to do, and it just keeps you more engaged.
What'd you think of the changing? Mega Man mentioned changing it to where you could put points wherever instead of having to go 31 down in Cataclysm. But I think Scotty has said it multiple times. The talents are just too powerful early on in every tree. So
what's that?
Mega Man mentioned removing the stipulation where you had to put 31 talents into one tree before being able to put it in another tree.
Yeah. I mean, it would make some wacky specs because some of the 11-point talents, for example, are really strong. If you could get the 11-point talent in all 3 trees, yeah. But I don't know. Maybe it would be interesting. To be able to play about and not have to go, all the way to the bottom essentially in one tree. But there probably would be some balancing issues there. It's also I don't see a problem with it, myself, because the majority of the time, if you're a Holy Paladin, you want to go all the way down to get Beacon or, Light of Dawn. If you normally want to get all the way down to the bottom of the tree, don't you? Because they still get more and more powerful as you go along. The talents are a lot more meaningful in Cata even early on, which is great when you're leveling. It's great when you're leveling and it's not like, oh my God, I've got to ding 5 times just to get 5% crit. It gets rid of all that, which I like. But as I say, I like that's why I'm not a fan of just vanilla WoW in general, because it feels slow. Talents are boring. I need a bit of spice.
Yeah, leveling just feels like I've leveled more and more characters the further on we keep getting, and then especially Joyous Journeys, and keep bringing that shit back because every time you do it, I'm like, what am I gonna make now? It's it's not even a choice. I'm just like, oh, well, let's make something here, and just being able to level with a big toolkit is so much fun. Whereas in early on with whatever character. In vanilla, you're just not using a lot of moves, it's unless you're a caster, but I mean, you're still probably only casting the same things, early on. So,
right.
Did you guys hear that? A tree just got struck by lightning right outside my house.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it is there's tornado warnings going out and everything. It's supposed to be crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah, it was so nice out today. It was 72 degrees, blue skies, and now it's the end of the world. It looks
before the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday it was 78 here. We were like, what? Now it's back down to 58. Crazy. All right, well, I don't know. I think we talked a lot about it. I think we gave it some good time.
Yeah.
Scott, did you just change your entire location?
Yeah. I just moved off the sofa. I was getting bored there, mate. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to get in front of the PC so I can actually log on.
Well, does anybody have any closing thoughts before we start ending out the show?
Just it's good to be back. That's it. That's my. It's good to be back, baby.
It's good to have you back streaming.
Thank you. Yeah. Again, thanks to all you guys for welcoming me back, and thanks to chat for welcoming me back, everyone else. So very much appreciate it, guys. I love you guys.
Are either of you starting to stream after this?
I will, but I'm gonna go get something to eat, and then so I'm taking a little break. But I don't know if Scotty is.
No, I streamed last month. I'm good.
I was just gonna raid you if you were, because I am gonna take about an hour break too before doing what's it called, tanking later tonight. But gotta go watch more 1923.
But
all right, well, Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us emails, send them to WCRpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to join the Mash Discord and interact with the host of this show or any show on the Mash Network, it's mash.gg/Discord. If you want to call in with a voicemail, it is 816-866-1066, or you can go to speakpipe.com/Warcraft Reloaded. They like send them in, guys. Voicemails. There's just something about it that's bigger than an email. Like it sparks conversation. They're really cool. So send us more and more in. What else? Oh, how can you help the podcast? Well, you can help us by giving reviews on iTunes. We haven't had one of those in forever. Now there's ways on Spotify. I'm trying to find out how I can see it, but there's ways to give feedback on Spotify, but you can also give us stars there. You can like, comment on YouTube videos, help that grow. That's where we need the most help, guys. Like, we are not big on YouTube, and I don't think we ever will be, but help us be bigger. And yeah, that's about it. All right. Mel, where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me on this podcast or in game or playing with Bob on his stream. That's pretty much it.
Yep. You can find her tonight playing on stream. Scotty, where can we find you?
Oh, man. I thought you were going to say you can find her later tonight playing with Bob. But anyway, that was literally what I thought you was about to say. Where can you find me? ScotteJaye on YouTube, ScotteJaye on Mancrick, ScotteJaye87 on Twitch. I'm really original with my names.
You make it very difficult.
No skill on Feckle. Yeah.
And Defcamp, where can we find you?
You can find me streaming full time again now on Twitch. Thank you. At Defcamp, just twitch.tv/Defcamp. Streaming pretty much every day on the week except for Wednesdays, and streaming on the weekend as well, usually on a Saturday or Sunday, so 5 days a week. Usually around 4 p.m. EST to like 10-11 EST. And YouTube is just Defcamp and Melderon on YouTube. Defcamp Melderon TV.
Very cool.
Awesome.
How's Melderon doing? Is he good?
He's doing good. He was in the chat a little bit ago. He said that what did he say? He said that hold on, wait. I'll remember it in a second.
Kata was enough.
Anyone relapse. Yeah. Kata was enough to make anyone relapse. So, he wasn't a big fan of Kata. It was yeah.
No,
but he says hi. We're going to be streaming together tonight. So,
oh
yeah, yep.
Awesome. All right, and you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. And you can also find me on Twitch at BlazinBob, no underscore. All right, guys, let's get out of here.
Peace.
Cheers.
Yay.
Thank you very much for checking out Warcraft Reloaded podcast. Make sure to like and subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any future content.